Is it dark there already?
Yeah, it's dark here. Not like there, Arizona.
All right, there we are. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I put my headset in because it's a lot easier to hear, and I think they have microphones in them too. So, all right, we're live. If you wanna, welcome to Cognizant Sapiens Productions today, people and viewers, YouTubers, everybody. I shared this on Facebook already before we started. To a couple of groups that have a couple 100K or so. If we get viewers, then we'll know right away. I'm sitting here with David Ferdinand. He is independent and he is part of the We group, or the We party, yeah? Of the UPG, the Unity People's Group, right? Unity Party Group?
Unity Party Global.
Oh.
Yeah.
Global, that's right.
Unity Party Global.
UPG. Anyways,
Yeah.
We are sitting here with David today, and I'm gonna let him take the stage and let us tell him about himself.
Well, actually, I'm probably not going to be talking anything about myself because I don't have myself.
Well, we're going to be going over to some constitutional rights and some other deep state stuff that is detrimental to the Freedom Acts and the Truth Seeker movements and all that. The things that you don't see, where they're pulling the strings and orchestrating stuff. That's what I'm trying to say here. Anyways, where do you want to start at?
Wow. Well, you mentioned that it's today. I need to say that today is August 30th, which is the Friday. So thank God it's Friday.
TGIF.
Yeah, TGIF. That's right. And so let's start there. Let's start in the moment now. We're going to be able to travel back and we just travel back. Like you just mentioned. Yeah. Going back.
There we go. Yeah.
Well,
I was trying to fix your mic settings really quick because you're kind of chopping out, but at least the signal's good today.
Yeah, well, so far so good. And that's, without communication, there's no way that, like you just mentioned, I'm the We candidate, which is a write-in candidate for the presidency of the United States of America, for the 47th president. And it might be a little bit shocking for people. Hopefully we get some people to come live. But really, the power of what we're doing here is Christopher's work in recording these for YouTube and I guess Facebook Live and other channels eventually. And so people are going to be able to resort to tape, taping and recording. We're making history. We all are. It's not just me, or it's not just the presidency. Just to be alive right now is a really blessing for everyone.
Can I interrupt you for around 1 second? There's always a few bugs to work out in the beginning of these. How far away are you from your mic?
Not very far. I have my phone in my hand. Is it too close?
I'm gonna walk you through something really quick. At the bottom of your screen, do you see mic, camera, guests, and 3 dots that says more?
Yes.
Push that more button really quick.
Yeah.
And in the next screen, it says settings at the bottom. Push
Yeah.
settings.
Yeah.
Then go into audio.
Yeah.
And then in the box at the top, there's a little arrow. Push the arrow and push default. If it's not already on default, go to speakerphone.
It says echo cancellation.
Nope, there's a box that says
It says default. It says default.
Okay, go down to speakerphone.
Speakerphone. Okay.
All right, it should change. I'm just trying to help your mic settings out there a little bit.
I'm on speakerphone.
Can you hear? Yeah, it's a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't hear any different on my end here.
We adjust the mic.
No.
Oh shit, that music is still playing?
Yeah.
Now it's off.
Now it's better. I didn't even hear it going in the headphones.
No?
Yeah, we had somebody watching too. They probably got, I can't hear you over the music, man. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Well, they'll come back, or they'll hear the recording. Hopefully, this will go viral. And like I said,
we're trying.
yeah, you're doing a good job. Thank you so much for your dedication. And I'm just amazed at some of the things that you're going through in your life. I'm not going to get into all those details right now, but you know what I'm talking about. And
Yeah.
and everyone right now, Christopher, that's really the real power of the moment that we're in. There's
Get out of here. I don't like bees.
What?
They're bugging me. Get a bee. You're lucky you didn't hear me scream like a little schoolgirl.
calm down. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be. Yeah, we're all in panic mode. Everybody's like on the edge right now. It's like walking on eggshells. With this election, not only in the United States, but all over the planet, there's different election cycles coming in. Where I am in Brazil, which is kind of surprising for some people listening to this, that there's a candidate for the U.S. presidency that's actually lives outside of the United States. I am American, though, and I am over 35 years old, and I lived in the United States for over 14 years, I believe are the 3 requirements of what it is to and also be born Native American on American soil. So, but that actually is an interesting topic. I think what we're going to be doing is covering a lot of different territory and some different strange tidbits about politics in general, about voting, about strategy and anything. If people are listening to this and want to make comments in the comment section, I'm sure that Chris will forward those questions and comments. And even if at the point after listening to the recording, for people that are going to be picking this up later downstream, we're always accessible and you can always ask me questions. And it's pretty easy for you to reach me. I am open. I'm public. I don't use AI right now in its full force. I'm aware of all of the technology, but some of what we're trying to do here really is not due. And so it's going to be a very interesting election because in my particular case, right now, I'm not getting any type of media coverage. And that's not unexpected because, like, for example, Bobby Kennedy's removal or I guess, again, kind of backpedaling or whatever you want to call his surrender,
Right.
or or flip flopping or whatever. I mean, I've never seen a candidate in one election go from the Democratic Party to Independent to Republican, and so quickly,
Right.
and I don't know, but that's kind of a different subject. I'm not pointing fingers, by the way, at anybody. That's totally the opposite of the whole purpose of what the Party Global is all about. It's about the unity. It's not about separation. But some of the times it's kind of interesting and funny in different ways when
Yeah, it
certain
is.
when you start with the politics and all of the entertainment and the theater and everything that go along with a typical political candidates run for the presidency, especially it can be really in years past, um, for example, myself, I've never voted, but I've been aware of what's going on and educated about what the different policies are and the different candidates. And I came very close. Actually, this might surprise some people, but with Bill Clinton, when Clinton was running, I was just at the age where I could vote, and so I thought the guy was charismatic and just really an interesting person. I still do in many ways, but with some of the controversies of both the Republican and Democratic administrations for basically since the beginning of our existence, and it's kind of ironic a little bit because for me, I'm not really a political minded person. I did try to run for political office in Florida, and for people that want to see that press release, I made a press release back in October of 2023 announcing that I had the intention to go ahead and be the president of the United States and win. And with all honesty, not being naive and whatever, or cocky or whatever, but it's interesting, Christopher, because I had a conversation. I think about 2 days. It's very recent. I'm not keeping track of the past like that. I stay in the moment. But for this conversation, we do in different ways need to go backwards and forward and all around. It needs to be a really rounded discussion. You know, um,
Definitely.
and and so I had a conversation. I won't name the person in particular, but after I was talking to him, he's kind of like you in many ways, with and a lot of other people, about spirituality and connection and in reading like ancient, not ancient texts, but different ancient and present text and prophecy and mythology and storytelling and all this stuff. And I've come to know this person just like you. I mean, relatively recently, and having several conversations, not really so much in depth where we can say that we're really very intimate with each other and understand each other totally, like not
Right.
even blood, like not even beyond blood brothers, soul mates or twin flames or whatever. Even
Soul
though that,
family.
yeah, just compassionate and really not having any fear and all of that.
Yep.
That's really the natural thing to be that way, but we live in a society that we have there's all sorts of games and shenanigans. That's just the you know and people say to me, even Christopher, we, who is we? How dare you use the word we in your candidacy? I was like, what the fuck?
We the people.
Yeah, I mean,
We
we
the people, and we the people are the ones who are who matter in this world.
oh,
Like the 1% at the top should be the 1% at the bottom. But I look at uh, the world doesn't go around without the working class and
right,
the maybe the couple tiers above us. You know, and when we get a real American or a real person in office, things are going to change because real people, the heart and soul of this country, and not even just the country, but the whole world. It's like people with a soul who had their soul ignition happen to them. That's when the Holy Spirit enters into your body, and now you have utmost discernment. You know right from wrong suddenly. You know, I
Right.
can admit I was ignorant up until I was like 30 years old. Ignorant. I knew what was right and wrong, but I wasn't like aware of all the things that I am now. You know, and
Yeah.
like I would just like, you know, I seen spirits when I was a kid, and you know, I've been contacted by them, but I never communicated back. It's just like now that I'm looking at it, it's like the light spectrum that I can't see, or that humans can't see. There's a lot of things that exist in that 97 to 93% of a light spectrum that we can't even see with our mortal eye. You know, it says in the Bible we're supposed to train. We're supposed to, what does it say? It says, yeah, train your eyes to the unseen, because that's what's eternal. Train your ears to the unheard, because that's what's also eternal. Those things last forever, where all this physical stuff, it deteriorates, it changes forms, it changes shape. Like I'm looking at the mountains over here, and I swear to God, they look like old ancient roots, tree
Yeah.
roots, like Venezuela. Venezuela has a tall freaking trunk looking thing coming out of the waterfall thing, and those big old that's I got lots of footage the other day. I went to Phoenix Wednesday.
Yeah.
You know, I drove and dropped a buddy off at the airport there. He went to Washington to get his wife, and they're driving back down today or tomorrow. And I took pictures of every tree trunk looking thing that I seen, and I've been doing research, and it doesn't take me long to find 3 or 4 matching sources that, you know, there's arguments in all the sources, but I'm looking at correlating things of what I believe it is, what I feel they are, because it talks about biblical trees, you know, that the angels were cutting down, like a couple of the Nephilim came to their fathers, or the kings, and they were talking about, they had dream visions of being in the realm, and there was angels cutting down these giant trees. And so the kings, they told the scouts to go check these trees and see if that was true. Sure enough, I'm seeing giant trees everywhere. Like I want to upload a picture of one and just show it to y'all real quick. It's pretty interesting stuff here. Let me see. I just want to get one that's not a video, and just a picture of one. Here's one. I'm gonna upload that one. Oops, that file's too big. All right. There we go. Haha. This is uploading right now, but when it's uploaded, I will prove it to you what I'm talking about here. And this is crazy. This is cool stuff that I'm gonna show you here in just a minute. Like I hear people say I'm woke all the time, or you know, like the political lefts and rights, they really tarnished that term. I'm woke. Oh, you got to be woke. You got to be woke. Kamala Harris was saying that one day on a talk show. You know, everybody's got to be woke, but they're mocking being woke. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, one of the things that we're hearing quite a bit are different stories about U.S. companies going woke. Like
Mm-hmm.
Harley Davidson was in the news. I don't know if you saw that article about the Harley Ped, I think it's called, a new moped that they designed.
Oh yeah.
Like instead of Fat Boys now, and with the Hell's Angels were the ones that came
What's
out and
woke
said,
about that though? There's
Over
nothing
my
woke
dead,
about that stuff.
"Over my
Over
dead
my dead
body,
body. Yeah,
a,
there's nothing woke about that.
moped,
They're
moped
woke,
with
and
a
they're
Harley
being more
Davidson."
gluttonous and indulging on riches and wealths, when that stuff is found right here. You know, true
Yeah.
value is found within you. You know, that's the so here. Let's watch this really quick. does not look like growth rings to you, right? Looks like fucking
See that
growth rings
back
to
there?
me, and growth patterns.
You have to unmute
like
your mic.
The way the trees grow, the grain's going upward, you know, and
It automatically
looks
mutes
like
you.
bark
When
on the outside of it. Does that not look like
can't-
bark? Giant
I can't hear you.
conifers or whatever the hell they were.
you have to unmute your mic.
Yeah, what was happening is when you're running that video, I
It
can't talk.
automatically mutes the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have
Well,
to manually unmute.
I was just saying that you looked like you guys are driving quite at a rapid speed there in the middle of
No,
Arizona.
I was actually driving one-handed. I was by myself.
Oh,
I was
really?
on my way
You're by-
back from Phoenix, and I went the long way around instead of. I
Yeah.
was supposed to hit Highway 8 and come back down the south side the way we went up, but
Chris.
I missed my exit.
Yeah, well, that's what we want to do in this show. We want to help people become aware. First of all, do not drive one-handed. It's a good idea to have both hands on the wheels.
Well, I know I was
And
driving and I was holding my phone up, driving and taking pictures and holding the video up, and I was watching the road. But that's why the video is all going all back and forth.
You were watching the road. You just said you went by your exit. You had to turn around and go back.
No, I went the long way around. I just kept going. I went all the way to Quartzsite instead of turning left where I should have. Yeah, it goes.
See, that's
It goes the right to LA and the left to Yuma, and I kept going towards LA, and so I just went all the way to Quartzsite and then took my left and went down the slower highway. But I got to see a radar blimp. It's 2 miles up in the sky, being held on by
yeah, I saw
a
that.
cord or some shit. Huh?
A weather blimp. I saw that. I saw that
radar
recording.
blimp.
Yeah,
Oh, you
whether
saw it?
weather, something monitoring, a scientific something going on. Yeah, I saw that that clip.
It's right up here at YPG. It's on the military, the proving grounds, and it's tied down by a cable, and it's 2 miles up in the sky, and it's got like a ton of like radar equipment, and it watches the borders and all the way to the west coast. So it's like 200 or 300 miles it can see. So it can see anybody sneaking over the border or coming up on the shore on the west side. And there's another one like towards Florida, and they just watch the borders and stuff.
Yeah, well, it's kind of interesting because for people listening to this, you know, what I try to do is when I'm talking with somebody like Chris, who's very dynamic, comes up with all sorts of topics, like off the cuff. But when it comes to these weather balloons or these monitoring stations, you know, I'm a quantum physicist and an inventor, so I'm not a politician. I'm not looking for a job or anything like that. Actually, the pay grade for being the president, actually even President Trump would say this, is really a cut and pay. It's like nobody takes the job of the role, I should say, of presidency of the United States, or any presidency of anything, even the presidency of yourself, with any intention of profiting from it. Nobody ever makes really any money. It's 400,000. I think it's the last I heard, it was about $400,000 a year. But the thing is, as a like I said, as an inventor, you can imagine, even yourself, you have inventions and things that you want to try to get to the to market. You want to manifest the concepts and the things that you're working on. I know that you've mentioned a couple of different scenarios. So, but if you break through on like one invention, even like what was that pet that pet that used to grow the
chia pet?
Yeah, like chia pet or something like that.
What's up, everybody? How's the chat looking? Go ahead and make comments about anything we're talking about. If you want to come on panel and discuss world events with us, or you know what you see going wrong in society, or
invention ideas like we're talking about now. It's an open panel, but it's also we, the people, are going to be heard. There's people out here that are tired of the bullcrap, and we're voicing ourselves. I mean, I personally have picked up writing petitions. So if anybody's got a good bill to present to me, I'm telling you right now, I can write legal format, and I type it up on my phone mostly, but I do this in the way that the parliaments and the governments will recognize this format of writing, because it's titled, it's sectioned off, and it's subsectioned. You have your definitions and what you're wanting to propose. I can put that into, if you give me a summary of what you want to become a law or take away a law or a stipulation, a chain holding us back, basically, or pass a law where it liberates us even more, and gives us more freedoms. Excuse me. That's cool too. So I know how to write petitions, and I've already posted a few of them on my Facebook, and I encourage people to start brainstorming and think of what we can do as a people, because you don't need 1,000 signatures on a petition to present it to senator.
Yeah, actually, what you're doing right now, Christopher, is very interesting, because you're kind of baiting me to get into a conversation about judicial issues. And as the president of the United States, I will make comments of my own opinion, just like anybody can. But really, people need to, not need to, but I would like to suggest that people be aware, and once again, about the separation of powers. So the executive office is independent of the judicial process and also the legislative process. So actually, it's beyond the scope, and it's actually excessive use of power for the president to actually influence, especially, let's start with the judicial, and then we can actually, it all comes from the judicial, because legislation, the only way that you have good legislation is if you can if you can, I don't want to say control it, but I mean, or you can replicate it, or you can really make it uniform so that people are treated equally. A law is a law, and if you break the law, we don't want people like law enforcement, just the name law enforcement. We don't want to enforce anything.
And water. Yeah.
We want to empower. We want to have law empowerment. And like you're saying, that through your learning, now you've gotten into, you have the codes, you have the language, you have the format. You can uniformly participate now with the judicial process in all of the branches. That's what it is to be really a voter. And when you're voting a candidate into office, you're voting a servant, and like right now, here we are. There's only, I think, 70 days. I'm not counting exactly. I mean, it doesn't, like I said, my focus is in the moment of right now. It's 10 o'clock, over 10 o'clock now. It's 10:30 Brazilian time. So, it's not late by any means in stretch of the imagination. And I also was able to take a little bit of a nap this afternoon, so I might have cobwebs in my eyes or something.
Right.
Kind of waking up for a second birth on today's cycle. But I do this, and I'm a very spoken and very transparent candidate, and actually extremely transparent, to the point of being invisible, because I disclose everything. I mean, to be transparent, you can't be transparent if you're holding back anything. That creates the barrier or the shadow or effect or whatever you want to call it, and you can't see the light. And so that's the whole thing about this conversation. Well, related to the judicial process, you would suggest that you could help people, which is great. Thank you so much for even offering to do that. But for one moment, let's try to.
It's been a new stone that I've overturned. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, and keep turning, bro, because eventually you're gonna find what you're looking for. Or not that you need to look for anything, but you're the type of guy that's curious. I mean, you got a camera, you got your head
Yeah, I
out the
got
window,
this phone. I got another phone that I just
120
got back
miles
from
an
a
hour.
buddy. I got loads. I got
Yeah,
like 6
you're a
different accounts
journalist.
on Google that I fill up all my clouds with footage, and I'm just going
Yeah,
through it all and
yeah.
making small little clips on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and
That's
just
what,
trying to get the
yeah.
message out there. You know.
Right. That's the powerful reason why we're actually having this conversation tonight, because you're experimenting. You're a scientist. We all are. We all are everything. That's the whole point about we. We means every person, every place, and everything possible and everything impossible. We
Yep.
means you. It means me. It means them. It means us. It means we. God made we the
We all.
singularity word. There is no other word
We
that
are
has the.
all.
That's
We
why
are
the
all in this
Constitution
together.
says we. Yeah, we the people, for the people, by the people,
Yep.
we. And now you even hearing the Democratic convention and the Republican convention. Everyone's talking about we. But the thing
Mm-hmm.
is, when you're on one side or the other, an extreme left or extreme right, and you're talking we, it sounds so fake. It sounds
Yeah,
hypocritical.
because they ain't
It's like,
about we at all. They're about them and only them.
exactly. But then
It
here's a
doesn't matter what
candidate.
side it is. They're both wings
Right.
of the same bird.
Exactly. We all know that it's all connected from origin. Mathematics says the 0 point. That is where
Yep.
everything comes from. That's where everything returns. And so we know we have the intelligence, we have common sense, and we do have unity. But right now in a world, we feel very separate. And I have to say that I am running a candidacy from Brazil. I'm running, without any money, without zero.
Right.
Well, I can spend by law up to 5,000 US dollars and not have to declare anything. I don't have to have a bank account. But if I spend $5,001, I am now in a whole different bracket. And that $1 difference is, I'm not going to stretch that, bro. I don't need to get a I don't need all of the aggravation. If I went over 5,000, I would be the type of person that would want to be like $500 trillion in my campaign. I wouldn't be
Right.
doing like, I don't have the middle of the road type of attitude. And when you're running for the president or any type of position that you're really trying to find, like even for you right now, Christopher, you mentioned that you're looking for work and that you've gone through the exercise of calling all of these jobs, and now you're down to being a telemarketer or something like that. Something not
The
not
only
that a
place out
telemarketer.
of 20 places that I've applied to this week, all but 3 of them have got back to me, and they've all passed by my resume is big, dude. I have a nice, impressive resume, and I have all these skills and all these experiences in jobs I know how to do. I have a lot of cook experience and maintenance experience, and I've got um, freight working experience. I can run a Ballymore. I can run a pallet jack, a powered pallet jack. I can do all that stuff. Um, the only place that has gotten back to me that seems promising is working for Verizon, being a cell phone service and uh, service and what's the items, whatever what you call it, services and provisions from cell services. So I'd be a cell phone seller. I don't want to do that, but I mean I will if I have to.
Well,
It's only
well,
temporary, but
Let me just say that what you just said actually is not a negative thing at all to
no,
be.
Verizon's pretty nice. Like
Well, I'm not talking about one company or another, but for you and your personality with the broadcasting and the journalism and things
Yeah.
like that, to be involved with a company that's actually legitimate and honest and keeps the channels open and wide, I think it would be great for you to be able to promote an organization like that. But unfortunately, and I'm not like pointing fingers at, the telecom industry in general, or any industry for that matter. We just talked about judicial, so we could talk about the corruption with the attorneys and the bar association and the ACLU and all of these
Yeah.
organizations that's supposed to be protecting human rights and civil rights and whatever, and all of
Right.
the breakdown in our society. But really, I talk about three main issues when I talk about the future, and not making America great again, MAGA, not
Hmm.
making it great again. We are taking it to the extreme level right now. We want to make America perfect, like the perfect union. It says in the
Yeah.
Constitution, "We the people in the perfect union." It says it
Yep.
right there. I'm not making this shit up. And so,
Immaculate.
yeah, not just immaculate, but perfect includes every immaculate, not maculate, every maculate. That is
Yeah.
perfect. Perfect is inclusive. If you include everything, there's no separation. There's
Nope.
no discrimination. There's no conflict. There's no competition. There's no communism. I'm not talking about communism, people, because coming onto this show, I already mentioned I'm in Brazil. People that have any association with communism in the U.S. history, for example, Dr. David Boham. Now, people on this listening to this, and I don't know, do you, Christopher, know Dr. David Boham in the
Never heard
history
of
of
him.
Dr. David Boham? See, you never heard of him, but
Boehm? I've heard the name, but I
Boham
don't know anything about him. No.
from Pennsylvania, a physicist at the time with the Manhattan Project and the discovery of the atomic bomb
Okay.
in the 1940s, I think 1945 or something like that.
Okay.
And so the best friend of one of the best friends, or the best, I don't know, if very close to Einstein. Anyways, the history of Dr. David Bohm, he tried to get on the team to work with Einstein and uh, I think it was called Eisenhower, not Eisenhower. I'm sorry.
Eisenhower?
I don't. No, not Eisenhower.
Oh.
Oppenheimer. I think.
Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer. Yeah, yeah. I've heard of Oppenheimer. Yeah.
I think. I'm sorry. I butchered the guy's name, and
It's
I'm not
fine.
trying to be so. I'm not trying to be so specific, but I'm just mentioning a United States patriot. This guy is a physicist working with Einstein. He went and they had to go through congressional approval because it was a federally funded initiative to develop this technology to basically save the world, not just the United States. We're getting our ass kicked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The whole world was about becoming fascist and all of the crap that we know. Not crap, but I'm sorry. I'm getting a little bit emotional with my language
Yeah,
right
it's all
now.
right, man. It's
You know,
hey, my disclaimer is in my channel. Say whatever you want, but be mindful of what you're saying. But I don't care
oh
if you
yeah,
cuss or slur or swear or whatever. Say fuck you or whatever. It don't matter. But my disclaimer says this channel will probably offend you. So if you are easily offended, I will put a verbal disclaimer on right now. If
yeah,
any of you are offended or have a weak heart, don't watch my shit because you will get mad. And you shouldn't be mad at me if you get offended with anything anybody on this show says. Offense is our own things. If I'm mad at him and he offended me, that's my problem. I have a problem with what he said, not with him, but with the
right,
truth that he spoke is offending
right,
to me. So I need to figure out why it makes me mad because the
yeah,
truth hurts, but it only hurts once.
yeah. Well, it could be that that's the when you're in the bullseye, it is all it takes is that one shot right to the head.
Yep.
But if you miss, you get the ear, and we
You
know
get
how
the ear,
that
and then you
story.
make $5,000 for the little trinket that you made off of it. $5,000 a pop, dude. What a swindler! The golden ear, $5,000 a freaking trophy. fuck, man, I want to do something like that. Man, somebody shoot me in the ear. Nobody wants to bother your bloody ear, Chris. You're not the president.
I mean, the guy's spending 500 million US or whatever, $1 billion US to be the president, and he's only going to make 400,000. That's like, I mean, do the math, people. That's why the deficit in the United States right now is like 180 trillion US dollars, and that we can't even pay down the principal at all. I think 50 or 60% of our actual payment goes towards just the interest on keeping it from getting out of control,
I heard it was something like $33 trillion or something like that.
Just for interest or
Isn't
something.
That an interesting number, 33?
Yeah.
Masonic
well,
number.
let me kind of come back. This conversation can go off in different, but we want to get closure to each one of these subjects. And so David Boehm, for people that find this curious, David Boehm was going to be on the team with Einstein and others, and the Congress denied him because he had an association at the time. Communism was really the Cold War and everything. We're not talking about like
Operation Paperclip and all that too.
They weren't playing games. I mean, so anyways, they took David Boehm to court, and the U.S. government tortured this guy, and because he had that one affiliation, and it wasn't that he was a communist. He was a scientist. He wanted to understand what was going on in that time and era in history. Why people were even motivated to have that type of extreme, like being equal is not an extreme concept. So at the center of communism, or the center of everything, is good. There's a good intention of what communism is. It's not a bad word. No word is bad, but it's how we connotate that word and how we actually manipulate the meaning, like the U.S. Constitution and what have you, with our judicial, legislative, and the executive, when we all come together and reach an agreement that is what the law of the land is going to be. That's how we're gonna keep organized civilization and civil society, and helping and social welfare and education and all of the public service type of things that require that combination of cooperation with the three divisions of government. So anyways, to make a long story short, they prosecuted David Boehm and found him guilty of treason against the United States, and excommunicated him out of the United States. And so he didn't have anywhere to go. It was very interesting, dovetailing into me being here in Brazil, is where he came was Brazil. In 1950, the only job that he could find, brother, and this is a very prominent, you're talking about your resume being off the chart. This guy's resume is incredible, and the work of David Boehm is amazing. And everyone knows, not everyone, but most common people know Einstein. But when you talk about David Boehm, people go, "Oh, I kind of heard something about," it's like, but David Boehm
knows Tesla and Einstein, though.
Well, most of the people know Tesla, but Einstein with the theory of relativity and also gravity, our first understanding that we do, not Newtonian gravity. All of that combined, and then David Boehm at that time was talking about holograms and holographics. So he was doing the mathematical theorems and everything, which is what we use today. The work that I do as a quantum physicist, I'm really mimicking more of David Boehm, not mimicking, but learning from it as a mentor than Einstein, because Einstein's theory of gravity, he never solved the opposite of gravity. And in science, there's always the inversion. In mathematics, there's always the inverse formula. And that's what you want to do. It's like reverse engineering. Reverse osmosis, reverse whatever. If you can reverse it, it's like a car. if you can drive it in reverse, you could drive it forward. It's just a different
That's
shift.
why they do the reverse engineering and stuff. They take it apart so they know what all the parts are, so they know how to put it back together.
That's right.
But the problem is they've stayed in the reverse aspect of things, and they're trying to dismantle everything instead of build it back up. You know,
Right.
like reverse mathematics is actually parasitic.
Right.
Well, there's a
Well, it's the holistics. Once again, the word, the unity party global. There is a unity party in America. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not, once again, I'm not trying to poke fingers at anybody, but when an organization does something, I'm blowing the whistle if it's not ethical and moral. And I'm saying to the public right now, be careful, because anybody, including me, I'm saying Unity Party Global. So I'm using the word unity, but the caution to everyone is, the fake news, the false information, everything is out of control. And what's happening, in my opinion, well, it's not just the censorship, it's these lobbyists and what have you, these I don't want to call them trolls or manipulators, Machiavellian people. They're calling themselves the Freedom Party, the Constitutional Party, all these parties, the Unity Party, the Moderate Party, the Unity of America Party. And for me, it's all, I don't swear often, but it's bullshit. And it's scary as hell. Because it bait and hooks you. I'm the type of guy, I'm getting information off the internet. So basically, they can set a trap for any of us. They can make it look like there's something that they are not. And if everyone's doing it, when like, for example, in the work that I do, I contact all sorts of people, cold calling. I'm an outbound call service. I don't get inbound very rarely. Even in this conversation, and knowing you, Christopher, I think I was the one that contacted you more than likely. I don't think you contacted me, because I never get anyone contacting me like out of the blue saying, David, I just spoke with my buddy, Christopher, and he said that you're such a great character. You're very entertaining and also very informative, and I would love to have you on our pod. I don't get shit like that. I don't get anyone calling me and offering any type of support, any type of encouragement or anything, which is fine.
Well, the first show you and I did together was the genetics and the People's Reset.
Yes, right. And I had contact you, I think, through the Freedom Cell group, I think, out of Aspen, Colorado, or Houston. Anyways, but so the kind of the whole point of this, and I'm trying to get back and forth and weave in all of this stuff, but anyways, David Bohem, he came to the University of Sao Paulo in 1950 and stayed for 5 years, and eventually tried to reinvent himself, but basically the U.S. government smeared this guy and defamed him so badly that he was toxic. Nobody wanted him at all. He was totally socially disconnected. And I'm saying this because you mentioned deep state and other entities. I'm not going to name all of them here so that we don't get thrown off YouTube or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
Anyways, we live in a society right now where everyone is guilty. That is not a society of justice.
Nope.
We
innocent
all can't
proven guilty.
We all can't be guilty, and we all can't be totally correct. But what we can be is right in the middle of not correct and not incorrect. We could be observers and witnesses, and that's what we need with a judicial system of jury, where in criminal situations where the peers are randomly selected in society, not like cherry picked, like some tribunal or something, or like a congressional hearing, even for like the office, not the office, but a Supreme Court justice, for example. This is where we need to look very carefully at how we're doing things, because the President of the United States of America nominates these Supreme Court justices. And so it depends on the political party and how many people basically die, because the Supreme Court justices for lifetime. They're in office until they kick the bucket, bro. Or they just
That's
admit
not
that I'm
right.
not.
We need to have limits on that stuff.
Well, not just limits, but it needs to be done with an open convention and not a congressional hearing and a panel where people are asking canned questions of a candidate. Like, I don't know if you remembered, um, I guess it was, I don't want to say Lawrence Thomas or Thomas. I think it was the first black Supreme Court justice, Clarence Thomas, I believe. And once again, I'm sorry.
He was speaking. Was that the guy that was speaking in like weird codes and they eliminated him? The guy from the South or something?
They want you speaking in if you're in the Senate or the House, that's what you want. That's a perfect candidate to win the constituents is speaking.
What is he talking about? What's this garage door opener? What? Double speak is what it's called.
Yeah, double speak. Yeah, and then to be a true politician, you got to be good at that. You got to speak at both sides of your mouth with your lips closed. You know, it's like
the neck. You gotta walk sideways too, and do somersaults and flips.
Yeah, well,
this is going to be an interesting campaign for me, and it is funny. I'm kind of looking forward to like Saturday Night Live interviews, or if Johnny Carson was still around, something like that, or even Phil Donahue. Phil Donahue just passed away. For people that like the Donahue Show, and for older people like me, around 60 years old, when you start talking about even people like Oprah Winfrey, for example, that spoke with I don't know if you saw her with the Democratic National Convention. She was on stage, and it was kind of.
I was watching it. My roommate watches it every morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw her on there.
It's crazy.
Giving Obama props. Hey, I'm not prejudiced. I don't mind if we have, different backgrounds running our country, but they need to be solid people. I mean, they don't need to be selling out to all this bull crap and all this corruption and like baby raping and kidnapping these children and like hiding them in the bunkers and the tunnel networks. Up north, I shit you not, dude. When you go out to the national forest out there, the Colville National Forest, in the middle of the night, dude, you can hear machinery under the hills, under the ground, causing big amounts of noise, and like it's undeniable. You can't deny it. Like, I've been in a cave up there that goes down like 600, 700, 800 feet, and me and some friends went down two levels. And we found the third level. We couldn't go any further. There was a rope that corkscrewed from this side and corkscrewed all the way around. And there was like this shaft of dirt that they didn't dig, but both sides of it was just an open corkscrew hole all the way down. And a buddy of mine went down there, and there was nothing at the bottom but a river, like a creek with fish in it even. It was crazy. But like, I won't go that deep without a light. Especially after seeing the descent or the cave. Imagine that, like a civilization getting stuck in a mountain and never seeing the light of day, and hundreds of years go by and they mutate and their eyes evolve to see in the dark. And that would be creepy as hell. And I'm sure there's shit like that exists, man. I'm not denying anything like that. Like a rake, not like a rake in the garden, but a rake. It's got long limbs and long legs, and it walks on its hands and its feet, and they're creepy. It sounds
things,
like man.
It sounds like a caterpillar walking on your hands and feet at the same time.
Yeah, Um, it's just because they're cryptids is what they're called. Cryptids.
No, I'm kidding. I know.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things about my presidency, you know, people tend to now that I'm actually getting a little bit of momentum. Like I said, I think there's 70 days or so left in this race, and I'm not even going to say for the White House, because people ask, you know, what are some of the things you're going to do in the first 100 days, and one of the first thing is we're going to change the name of the White House to the We House. That's what we're going to do. And so
And
I don't know how much more
DC part of the United States, not a Dominican of Columbia,
No, I'm not.
District of Columbia.
No, some of that stuff, like I said, that's more of a legislative issue. That so, as the president, what I can do is I can just say that we're all for unity. Even like Puerto Rico, for example, there's some indication that they're going to be Puerto Rico is going to successfully be the 51st state of the United States rather than just a Commonwealth and get full whatever, just become part of it. The fact that like something like Puerto Rico is interesting because I did have a fortunate opportunity to spend quite a few times. I think it was about 6 years or so on a project in Puerto Rico on the island of Vieques, Island in Puerto Rico. So for people that don't know about Vieques, actually, it was the bombing after Pearl Harbor was closed because of security issues. They needed to relocate the Admiral fleet of the United States, all of the aircraft carriers, all of the submarines, and everything. And that's when back in the day, that's when Puerto Rico became the Commonwealth because we needed that space off of this island called Vieques. And in between the channel between the mainland of Puerto Rico and the island of Vieques, we had a bombing. It was a U.S. military, basically war station, and also in bombing testing and Agent Orange and everything, while people were living on this island called Vieques. So Puerto Rico is a very important. I'm not saying stronghold, but location. Its proximity to the United States, and also very close to both Venezuela and also Cuba, and so Puerto Rico is a very important asset. And to one of the things that makes Puerto Rico different than being a full state is that Puerto Rico, for people that don't know, actually have their own financial system. And even this sounds crazy, but the Federal Reserve System goes through Puerto Rico, and then it goes into the Cayman Islands and other offshore, basically laundering, operations. So I don't know if Puerto Rico really wants to become full-fledged because they have that financial independence to be able to preserve themselves. It's just the corruption is across the chart, all across the world. Puerto Rico has assets. It's a wonderful destination for tourism, but then they have hurricanes. I think about 4 years or so ago, in recent history, they had I think it was Hurricane Maria, if I'm correct, went through Puerto Rico and really devastated that place. And they are
My cousin just moved there a few years back and built an Airbnb. He's doing real good. Him and his wife and his baby, or his kids now. He comes to Arizona quite a bit. I missed him last time, but yeah, Puerto Rico. I've always wanted to go down there. That's the hot zone of the Atlantean Empire.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, right there in the Gulf of Mexico. Believe it or not, nobody's allowed to go there. And like a few years back, there was a major hurricane that came through, and the whole ocean right there disappeared for days.
Yeah.
That's the hot zone of the Atlantean civilization is right there. It's like the
edge of the
westernmost part of Cuba. Huh?
I think it's right on the edge of the Bermuda Triangle. If it's not inside the triangle, it's really close to the triangle. The way you actually draw the triangle from Bermuda to Florida, actually right off the coast of North Miami and Fort Lauderdale, and then actually all the way to Puerto Rico. and so actually in Puerto Rico,
and then the other part of the triangle is right out there in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah,
it's like Puerto Rico's down here, Florida's up here, and then the other part is right in the middle of the ocean. And I think that is where the
Atlantic
vortex is.
Yeah, that whole theory of or the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle is amazing. But I want to try to get back a little bit into politics, geopolitics. For the people that don't know, Vieques was the only location where the U.S. military actually was forced out the naval base there was closed. So on Vieques, they had about 40 or 50 years of these bombing that took place while people were living there. So you can imagine like a war in the Ukraine or whatever that's going on. These are usually temporary wars for maybe a couple of years, which is horrible just in itself. Even even one day in war, we need to stop war, period.
Isn't Haiti around there somewhere too?
The what? In Haiti.
The Haitians live there too, right?
Yeah, but I think that's outside. Actually, it would be to the west of the triangle. These are all right there in that corner of just off the coast of Florida on the eastern seaboard. And so, anyways, Vieques is interesting because of the environmental contamination of all of these bombs that they were testing in the ocean and also on the land. So they contaminated. It's the worst environmental contamination ever done in mankind. The worst. And on the ocean floor, they're still cleaning up these warheads of these missiles and stuff that all on the ocean floor is it's a dump. And all of these toxic metals and everything. And so the health issues in Vieques are off the chart, birth defects and autism rates and everything. And so, but when the military left, they didn't do anything to help the people there. It's just basically, okay, they said, okay, we're out of here. And they just left. I don't even know where they're located now as far as the main center for naval operations. I know in the state of Rhode Island, which is my home state, the Naval War Center or college is right there in Newport, Rhode Island. But they don't have like maybe one or two of these naval warships that come into port. They don't have 1,000 warships. The type of space that you need to have these aircraft carriers is not an easy task. And so I don't know what happened ultimately. I had to pull out of my involvement. I was a real estate developer, developing and redeveloping the base there, where the infrastructure that the U.S. military had left, trying to come up with a plan to through a Superfund cleanup site and industrial brownfield economic development zones. And so I'm mentioning all of these things as tidbits, but also when people ask me about my policy, my personal interest in policy with foreign interests and foreign affairs and economic development, job creation, really to try to help stimulate these other communities and nations around the world, that's really my strength. And so, like for example, like a Donald Trump, for example, with Trump International, his work and obviously his success, in the financial market is a little bit different than what I'm talking about, because I'm really I describe to people like an economic hitman. I've been trained by U.S. Policy, Secretary of State, U.S. Department of Commerce, all of the different agencies in the embassies and consulates office around the world. So I am a hitman, but it's not designed to be like a capitalistic opportunist to go in and try to take over land and take over
right
the whole program. Especially the election process. Some of these agencies have gone overboard and have overstepped like a supreme power type of dominance in these foreign countries, and that's leaving or have left already a real sour taste in many nations' failings and viewpoints about what it is to be an American. And so I'm just letting people know that our policy, foreign policy and domestic, I mean, I don't need to point fingers at the domestic issues with inflation and unemployment and job, mental illness and all sorts of problems with Medicare and in the Social Security system. And now the deficit is like out of control and there's no accountability really and no checks and balances. It's so partisan and so separate between the two parties that are always fighting with each other. The House and Senate never reaches agreement that doesn't get out of the House. Because of the difference in the way that they control the process, and it is a mathematical thing, and that's why we have lobbyists. The lobbyists spend their time to get in those positions of control, and a gridlock is a great control because it just lets everything continue to fester, and more war, and more a focus on profit over people. And so these are the types of things that I kind of bring a different perspective into the game. It's very interesting because, like I said earlier, I never voted in my life. I tried to vote one time and I registered to vote to be the mayor, or at least on the city council, but I was going for the mayor position in Sarasota. And I make this clear on my Facebook profile. I have a pin post, and my Facebook is David Ferdinand, like the bull, like the Disney story about nonviolence and the bull that likes to smell flowers rather than, taste blood, like from the Matador, And so my name is David Ferdinand. And if you type in Facebook David Ferdinand and W-E, you should get my listing, my profile. There are many other David Ferdinands. It's amazing, when you really look and try to find out who you are. Like on Facebook, I typed in David Ferdinand. I don't know, there was 100 or so, and so I don't want people to get lost with something like that. So that's why the word "we" came into my field of consciousness, and it's interesting because the way it works, we're getting messages all the time. And to run for the president of the United States is no easy choice for anybody. Whether we're awake or whether we're asleep. The proposal to do that is go ahead, Chris.
No,
Christopher.
I'm logging into my Facebook on my other phone so I can share this around.
Yeah. Well, but basically what I'm saying is the word "we" came to me when I was reading a book from Osho. It's called The Book of Secrets. And if for people that want to really read a book that will open it up for you, it's impossible. You cannot. It's 1,500 pages of all of the questions ever that humanity have contemplated. And not only the questions, but 112 techniques of meditation. Because in order to answer these questions of life, we need to be neutral. And then we can, just like a Google word search, the Google is neutral. It's only going to answer the question depending on how you ask the question. It's not going to tell you what the question is and give you the answer. That would be like total dominance. I mean, why would you need a human being if there was no communication. There's no need for it. So anyways, Osho in the Book of Secrets talked about we. And it was just not kind of opportunistic, but coincidental, deja vu or whatever. And so that is really, this was about 8 years or so ago. So really, I announced in 2023 that I was going to run for this election cycle just because I see that the window is so wide open. And I mentioned to you, Christopher, there was a person that I was describing my situation, and this is a kind of a spiritual guy. And it was a man, a masculine, a man, I think. And so he says he's a man. They're saying Kamala Harris is actually a guy. Did you hear that? The recent I don't know if it was a smear campaign by the Republicans or whatever, but they said that Kamala Harris is actually a man. And so genetically, and she's playing the female
Yes.
card also, and she's playing the racial card. And Donald Trump said she's not a black woman, she's an Indian. I've known her for years, and she's always said she was Indian. She never wanted to admit. Now she's admitting that she's a black woman. So I don't know what's true or not. I'm not trying to once again point the finger or whatever. But these are all kind of very interesting scenarios of just deception, and how everything, like right now with U.S., not just U.S. politics and voting, but people are saying to me, David, they're saying, David, I don't vote. I have no confidence at all in government. But I say to them in response, how are we going to operate? I mean, we need to have some governing body. It doesn't have to be the type of governance that we have, because it's totally, not totally, but mostly away from our constitutional guidance and direction of what's in our Constitution. We're not following what our founding fathers planted, the seed of democracy, and of consensus building and open debates and open conventions.
No, it's all being done in secret.
Well, not really secret in the sense, because, well, the ethics of today says this, Christopher. If I tell you I'm going to do something to you and you do not object, if you consent through your silence, you're consenting. If I tell you right now I'm going to do certain things,
consent to them.
Then,
but
that's right. But I'm not talking about the purity of ethics. The ethics doesn't say just because you said you're going to do it doesn't make it right, or just because you're doing things, just because everyone's doing it doesn't make it right. That's the herd concept, and that's what they do, is they try to get 99% of everyone to run off the cliff. I mean, and then they come and steal your property, like through the Indians and in all of the situation with indigenous people, which I get involved with all of this stuff, because right now I've always been on a campaign. Now that I look back at it, since I've been 4 years old or so, I've been a very outspoken baby and infant. And as I was growing up, I even at 7 years old, and this is a fact, I was running around the house saying that I was the president of the United States. And I grew up in foster care. I grew up in a group home and stuff. Wasn't growing up in privilege like the Kennedy family or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of, for me, it's like a prophecy. And that's what I was saying when I was talking with this other gentleman. And after I was done, he said, David, I just read a book, and it's crazy how closely the words that are coming out of your mouth are just like, he asked, did you read the book, such and such book? I don't even remember what the name of the book. I don't really care. But the whole point is, he goes, David, in the book, they describe a character that comes, whether it comes from another dimension or whatever, but it's here on Earth, like right now in the year 2024. That's the prophecy in the book. It's actually this year. And he said, this character, do you know what the character's name is?
Netanyahu.
And I said to him, no. I said, no, I don't know what the name is. He says, the first initial is D. And I was like, and he goes, David. And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? And this coming from the guy that I trust, actually, in the sense that he's I guess the word is objective and subjective. He's both. He's a total person. He's not going to get like swindled by some opinion or religion or indoctrination or something like that. He's a truth seeker. He's not really, I don't like to use the word like warrior, like a freedom warrior or whatever, any type of warrior. Right. Although that word itself, any word has a positive, you can be a positive warrior and you can be a negative warrior, or you can be right in the center with it. There is no war. And that's where I want to try to help all of humanity to stay in that neutrality. That doesn't mean that we're dead. It doesn't mean that we're, like sissies or something like that, or we don't have the courage. It just means that, hey, we need to be in a point in our development and evolution where we can be objective and subjective. We need to be critical thinkers. The only way we can do that is in the foundation of the zero. The zero is the rock. And we need to be firmly not planted in the rock, but we need to be intimate with what we're doing right now. We need to be serious. You already mentioned even lizard people, like David Icke, for example, talks about civilizations inside the earth where these lizards, they don't ever see light. And they're actually civilizations of these extraterrestrial or entities. And so even any controversy like the flat earthers or the people that are saying that there's problems with NASA, NASA is not a space agency, not a space agency. That's what they say. NASA is
not a space agency. Yeah, right.
Exactly. I don't know. But as president, my first 100 days of administration is open disclosure, a full audit, the open, I mentioned to you and other people about Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution is a actual process like you were talking about, Christopher, a little bit earlier, about petitions and about actually writing letters to the senators and stuff. What I'm talking about with Article 5, it kind of supersedes. It's the umbrella. And so it opens up all of the discussions for an audit in order to prepare to make amendments to the Constitution. And that's where we are right now, because the Supreme Court's not making those amendments because they're biased. They were selected to be in office like puppets. Yep. And with a life term in the Supreme Court, once they're implanted. Yeah, go ahead.
Article 5 of the Constitution, I'm going to read it off right here, outlines the process for amending the Constitution. Wow. Congress can propose amendments. If 2/3 of both houses of Congress believe it's necessary, they can propose amendments to the Constitution. States can request a convention. If 2/3 of state legislators request a convention, Congress must call one. Amendments are valid. Amendments are valid if ratified by the legislators of 3/4 of the states or by conventions in 3/4 of the states. The Constitution can also be changed in other ways, such as by the actions of Congress, the President, the courts, and the people's changing understanding of the Constitution. Huh.
Yeah. Well, that's a mouthful, but basically for people just listening to that, it says it very simply that our Constitution was written with this provision so that we would be able to overcome tyranny. That's the word, tyranny.
But the things that they're doing behind our backs is what's bothersome to me, because they're making changes like Roe versus Wade and stuff like that, the subtle things that people aren't picking up on,
Well, that's right, because what you're just mentioning, something related to abortion rights and the rights of women, the equal rights of women. I'm not talking about just the job and getting equal pay, but the right of a woman to make life-threatening decisions in their life of whichever direction. And now what we're doing is making policy out of a natural law. I mean, a woman as a mother understands more than anybody whether or not she's able to be a mother or not. And
even carry it.
Right, exactly. Or to be in a medical situation where doctors and medical advisors advise to go ahead and get an abortion because you're not going to survive or that you're going to both die. And that happens in birth situations. In fact,
grandma almost died with my dad.
Yeah, exactly. So these are serious issues that affect everybody universally. But now we have two different parties with two extreme viewpoints about abortion. One party says no abortions under any circumstance, and the other one saying you can get an abortion right in the last moment when you walk in the hospital. You know, if you want to kill the baby before it comes out, do it. But so these are the types of things that the open Article 5, and when you're mentioning the Article 5 with the 2/3, what I want people to understand that this is real. Okay,
Yeah.
Article 5 has never ever been actually initiated ever since 1776, I believe. Once again, I'm not like a total fanatic with with all of the statistics and the names and the days and everything. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that we have never done this because we never felt like we needed to do it. But now, over 20 years, there's an agency right there in California, in Santa Barbara. Not an agency, I should say a person. More, and usually the thing is, when we start talking about change in society, usually it's one person. Even Margaret Mead, who's a real famous person for quoting things, she had said that change can come from a single person. We're not talking about like a savior like the Jesus Christ or somebody that
No.
goes on a cross. What we're talking about is innovators, and it's not, like for this example, the Article 5, it comes from one person, and that person's name started, the person that started it is Bill or William Walker. And so for 25 years, Bill, they call him Bill, he I don't know exactly the history once again. I think he's a Canadian guy for some reason, but he was in the United States, basically retransplanted in the United States. And people need to understand this, Christopher. You as a foreigner, you can go into the United States from day one. Even an illegal immigrant can go and register and get a car and do stuff and vote and actually get a social security number, and without even all of, so in the United States, the only thing that a foreigner cannot do is run for the president and vice president. Those are the only two positions so that our country in an open democracy allows that. But like in Brazil, for example, I'm a foreigner in Brazil. I do not get to run for any public office, and I don't get to vote for anybody that's in politics. So basically, my voice is zero in any, not just Brazil. Mine, any in Brazil. But that's what I'm saying, is that our difference in the United States when it comes to civil society, we want to get the opinions of migrants, immigrants that are coming into the United States. That's how we grew to the point now of like 330 million Americans. You call them Americans, but all of this growth that we're getting right now is not coming from Americans having babies. In fact, there's some question about our family structure, and people are like stopping having kids because economically it's like the kiss of death. If you have a family of like 3 or 4, good luck. You're talking each child
the cost of living is so damn high, dude.
I know, but it's always been
on the air we breathe, pretty much. You're taxed. You're taxed on your taxes, and those taxes are taxed to death. To tax.
We know all of that, but once again, as a candidate for the write-in candidate, independent candidate, I'm going to resist even getting emotional about these issues, because that's legislative issues. If we have problems and challenges in our communities, especially related to mental health, quite honestly, because mental health leads to alcoholism and other addictions and other dysfunctionalism. It doesn't. If somebody's
I know the cure for mental health, man.
Yeah.
You know what it is?
What?
A listening ear. an empathetic person that can empathize with you, sympathize with you, somebody that is hurt and needs to express their pain, that's healing for them. They need somebody to listen. And all these doctors, they want to do is, oh, here, take 2 of these pills with a meal, but you don't know how the fuck I feel. You know, you hear what I'm saying, but you're not listening. You listen to what I said, but you're not hearing me. You know, you're paid to write a scription, and here, that's not helping anything. You know, that doesn't fix his our emotional pain or our mental pain. You know, and when we're confused and say, oh, that doesn't exist. You're crazy. You're delusional. You know what I'm saying? Mental health would be easily cured if motherfuckers would just listen to each other. You know?
Right.
Listen more.
Well, I mean, that's getting back to the Article 5, because you had mentioned that if you get 2/3 of the House and Senate of both sides of the Congress, or you get 2/3 of the states, or the president. See, the president themselves can actually kind of order through executive order that the convention be open. But the thing is, these candidates are not gonna open up an open convention for everybody. That's not going to happen. That's why there is corruption in our system, and that's why the electoral process is broken. And we need to make the reforms, because the fact is, a democracy has that openness. I'm not saying that, for example, that it's all going to be like one party and it's going to be the unity party. There's no other party that's in unity other than the unity party. But we don't want like one party. The Unity Party Global, the UPG, is not designed to be a global dominance. I mean, it could be if there was some like if there was some fascist, like authoritarian, Machiavellian type of candidate that's trying to manipulate everybody. But if we're maintaining the purity of being in neutral, and going with the flow and being in the moment. I'm not talking about being submissive, because some people misunderstand. When I talk about unity, we are one. And so they say, David, does that mean that you agree with the devil, or that you agree with these wars? And if we are one, no matter what you did, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about at the core of everything is that unity. Outside of the seed of life, the branches of the trees going further and further away from that center, the branches go into infinity. So if you want to be on the extreme edge of where the leaf is and not real as source is, you're allowed to grow and do whatever you want to do. And so, when it comes to like war in negotiating conflicts, the way that I do it is come to the center. And I have that ability because I do that. And that's the nature of the beast, not the beast, but the beauty and the beast is in the center. The beauty and the beast come together, and they're intimate with each other, and they're not afraid of each other because they're so different from each other. How horrible or how wonderful. It's all the combination. It's the singularity of what we're talking about. So that's
the way I look at it too. I look at it the same way, man. Like, why judge something that's different than you? We're all made of the same shit. We're all breathing the same air.
Like I said, for me, I'm doing a lot of outbound calling, and that's just like ET coming here to Earth. Imagine me like an extraterrestrial, and I just contact the mayor of fucking Chicago or something. They don't know how to deal with me. They're like, this guy is he got to be on drugs, or he's got to have some type of ADD, or they classify me like so quick.
Blame it on the ADD. Yeah, I'm so tired of people that do that. Because you come at them with a hard red pill, and they want to just shoot you down.
Yeah, but even talking about the Matrix, for example, the red pill, blue pill concept. What I say,
one of each. What do I do?
yeah, no, that's what I say. I said, hey, who said I can't have both of them? I'm greedy as a bastard. I'm going to take both of them and see what that mixture is, Or
Right.
the other alternative is don't take any pill at all. That's my choice. Either I take both of the bitches or I don't take it at all. I'm not going to be taking any booster shot, or whatever you want to call it, just for the sake of what I'm told to do. And I'm not going to take all the interesting thing when I first came here to Brazil. I'm not going to get into all of it, but related to health, let's say, the federal government, and I went through the U.S. Embassy to come here, so I was in an official trade mission. In order to be official, I had to go and get vaccines, not one or two. In one day, I think I had 14 vaccines. I couldn't raise my arm in the car. I was driving one-handed on that day, I'll tell you, brother. But it was all on my left shoulder. I can still feel it today. And so I got injected with like everything. I didn't get sick or anything, which is amazing. I thought I was going to like really suffer. And I wasn't prepared. When all I was told from my employer is that I had a medical appointment. And in order for me to travel to Brazil, I had to go to this appointment. And so I didn't know what was going on. Really, they sat me down, strapped me down so I wouldn't squirm or anything, and just pumped me up with everything you could possibly imagine. And so I don't know. I don't know necessarily if I'm infected, affected, or whatever the results of that are. I'm still alive, thank God. And Brazil does have things like Ebola, malaria, all sorts of issues. And so I don't know. I'm trying to maintain neutrality right now. Like I said, the first 100 days in the transition is about, as the president of the United States, to be consulted by the professional people that know what's going on, and really, we know through these independent podcasts and what have you that there's a lot of information that has been misled, and where we've been bait and hooked and carrot and stick and everything. We know that we need to come to a consensus and make the modifications and the reformation that's necessary for us to get caught up and look to the future. Even the space program with John F. Kennedy and all of the wonderful things that happened supposedly with that, which hopefully that's all true. I follow
John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. He's my cousin, man. He's my second cousin. I'm related to the Kennedys. Like
good.
Literally, yeah.
Can you talk with Bobby? Do you have Bobby's WhatsApp number?
I haven't talked to Bobby yet, but I have spoken with John.
Okay.
And Rockin' Robin, his girlfriend, wife, or whatever. Yeah.
Well,
he wrote a book called Stolen Identity.
Yeah.
Yeah. He tells the whole story. The plane crash was not true. He didn't unalive in the plane crash. He was abducted by federal agents and kept in a cage for like 15 years as they fed him pills and threatened his life and all that. Yeah. All his mom and his brother and his cousin all died though.
Interesting.
Sad, man.
Yeah. Anyways, right now we're on an hour and a half. It's flown by. I was just looking up at the clock here. I can see the live in 1 hour and 33 minutes and 43 seconds. And so I don't know how this is like a never ending story. And also just let people know that I am a practical person. I have the ability to be responsible and accountable. But at the same time, I'm also a dreamer. And that's where really the American dream comes in, because we all have the ability to reach whatever we desire. And if it's in the goodness of ourselves and the betterment of our families and in the civil responsibilities we have in the world, And that really comes down to democracy, freedom, liberty, and justice for all. And that's
Yep.
so, I mimic and I quote the quotes that are quotable. There's no reason that we, like, for example, united we stand, divided we fall. I mean, these are
Yep.
instructions that are so easy for even a child to understand, and yet we've complicated every issue in our society and made it seem like we don't know anything, and that's
Yeah.
crazy. We know everything, and we know that unity is the place to be. That is where the power happens, not force. It's not a forcing thing at that point. It's going with the flow of
Yep.
life in nature, and not having that resistance and always a revolution or some problem that we have to solve. I mean, we do
Right.
have legitimate issues that we need to deal with, but there's no issue that we as man have created that God cannot, through our cooperation. God's not going to just change anything. If that was the case, God would have never done any of this stuff and allowed the nonsense to continue. That's the whole power of having freedom of will and freedom of
Yep.
choice, and that's what democracy is all about. That's the founding idea, is that each individual has that sovereign ability to be able to live their life and to make the decisions in their life that affect their life. But also at the same time, we do need to be sensitive about extreme situations, and how some people are being basically told to do certain things, especially the children
Yeah.
in with like female genital manipulation and other things that are with different religious groups that they believe that these are the correct things to do, and it's like it's so awful and it's so traumatic,
If you want my
dramatic.
take on all that, I'm not for it at all. Like, when okay, my opinion, and I have a right to this, right? Freedom of speech, right? As long as I don't uh go against community standards, but I really don't give a shit. What are they gonna do? Fuck you guys. um, are they gonna take my channel from me? Ooh. Uh, okay. My belief on that, and this, I'm firm on this. Like, okay, if I was if I was happy, okay, gay or whatever, I would totally believe that I had to activate the part of my energy that wasn't activated. So if I like dudes because I was feminine, then I would have to activate my masculinity in order to like women. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the way they're trying to transgender this. Oh, in order to become complete or be whole, you have to change your gender. And now you still haven't activated the other part of yourself. Like, I'm trying to make the oceans whole, in a different aspect. Like, I can tie this together, like with free will. The will is from the mother. It's from the feminine. It's the voice inside that everybody needs a loudspeaker to give it, because everyone ignores their guts. Most people, listen to your gut, listen to your will. It's the same thing. And like, free the will, free your will, and then will and choice aren't the same thing. In, like, how I believe in it, like, choice is like, okay, I'm given two choices which are both fucked up, but I'm going to take the lesser of the two evils, of course, and my free will to do that or to not do that. I could walk the other way and not take any of the choices and do my own thing over here. That's the will that I have. That's what my will would tell me. But like, okay, a better explanation would be walk into a room and suddenly you feel everybody staring at you without looking around to see everybody staring at you, right? Your will told you everyone's looking at you. Your informed field or whatever, right? Your aura. You people pick up on that stuff. Like, I can walk into the room when I worked at Home Depot. I could walk in there and everybody instantly looks at me and, hey, Chris, without saying anything, I felt all their eyes getting ready to say hi to me without them even saying anything.
And it's like I sensed it. My will sensed it. It's like, okay.
Intuition.
Or intuition, yep. And reading something when you come across some what up, Joe? How you doing, man? I haven't seen this guy in forever. So when like you're reading new information that you've never bumped into before, for example, and yeah, he said it kind of like what I'm trying to say, yeah. But say for instance you're reading something new and you're coming across it, and without judging anything, you're innocent like a child on the judgment, and you're skimming through this article and it's saying some things that resonate with you, right? Without judging that resonance and saying, oh, you know, feel the resonance, and is it uplifting or is it pushing you down? Is it heavy or is it light? You know, and that's kind of like what the will is too. It's like your initial feeling when you first encounter something, without the judgment in there. Cool, yes. So like two of the secrets is to be innocent like a child and non-judgmental, right? In order to raise your vibration and to raise your consciousness and open the doorways per se into the unseen. Sorry, the dog's barking. Do you want to go inside? Anyway, so what I'm trying to say with that is go inside. No, you be quiet. You get it, I hope. Woo!
Oh yeah. Woo! Woo! Well, I want to just say hi to Joe Cool.
Yeah,
Joe Cool.
My friend Joe, man. I'm happy to see he popped on to say some stuff. That's cool, man. If you want to say some words, dude, here, click the link up in the chat right there. If you want to pop on, it's open panel too. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, we'll deal with it. I just want to. Yeah. I just want to let Joe know, thank you for tuning in here, and also anyone else that's listening to this recording. It's been a real pleasure. We're coming on almost 20 minutes to the top of 2 hours, so I want to try to not have this like a round robin or like a marathon. So we need to try to get a little bit of closure at this point. You know, for Joe that she's popped on, or anyone else who's listening to this recording, we've been going back and forth and around and up and down and talking about many different subjects this evening related to public service, the President of the United States, some of the responsibilities, some of the kind of the tidbits about what it is to be the president, what are the requirements and what have you. You know, why my particular candidacy is really a prophecy, as we mentioned. It's kind of when you can connect the dots in your life, it's so wonderful because now it all makes sense. Even that nonsense makes sense. In some of the challenges that we all face in having our voices heard, which is really a very big key issue in my candidacy, is about the censorship that we're experiencing with all of these different gaslighting and blacklisting and all of these things. Here we go. Is this Joe?
Hey, Joe, yeah. That's Joe. Yes. Welcome aboard, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you. I get high a lot. Let me clean my camera. But did I hear you say your candidacy?
Yeah.
For what? What office?
The office of President of the United States of America.
And you only got 20 minutes left? I would love to get into this shit.
All right.
Well, I don't have a time schedule, Joe, but you know, we can continue. I'm not going to cut anybody. I'm not cutting anybody short. We're going with God, the grace of God.
Yeah, and I want to hear what he was talking about, that energy shit, right? If you just recognize the energy, the rest of the shit is probably secondary. That's a good point too. But fuck, I want to hear, your platform. Here, let me make a statement in your response. Since you're running for president, you got to get used to this shit anyway. Um, you know, all politicians suck, man. It's gotten horrible, absolutely horrible. How is it that if I vote for you, you're going to be any different than any of these other guys who've never done anything to change my life?
Well, that's an interesting question, and thank you very much for being thought-provoking
You got
and
it on your first part,
conscious.
right?
The first thing about a good politician is they never answer the question. They always ask other questions and confuse the hell
Great
out of
job,
everybody.
right? Great
Yep.
question, Joe. I love your hat. Go ahead, give me what you got.
Oh, my hat.
No,
Yeah,
I'm saying that's how he answered the question. When I
Oh,
asked him,
yeah.
"What do you
I
do?" the
like
first thing he
David for
do was
that.
compliment
David's
me and great question, but no answer yet. So go ahead.
David's a good man, dude. He's doing the right thing,
I love
in my
it. Go
opinion.
ahead. I love it.
yeah. Well, the fact is that I'm actually an outsider. People are saying that that's what they're looking for in a candidate, somebody that can. I'm not saying clean the swamp or whatever the terms that other people are using, because as we know that's just really an illusion to get a vote and have
I
somebody
think
vote
so.
for them. And
Yeah.
and so,
Do me a
you
favor,
know,
don't smoke that on camera, please.
All right. Here, let me
You
calm
can
down.
bend off to the side like that, but just
Don't
don't show
calm
it.
down. I'm still
well,
listening. I'm still here.
There
how
you
do
go.
we know?
You can do that. That's
Yeah,
fine.
but how do we know he's doing anything illegal? You know, he
It's
could be
not. This is
smoking.
a
It's
wait. This is a cigar.
uh yeah, it's a black and mild. That's
Exactly.
fine.
See,
This is a
That's
cigar.
fine.
yeah.
Okay.
You
Um
know, in one of the issues related to the disclosure on the cigarette packet, and this is as president, I have a really a deep concern. How can we actually put on the product that it's going to kill you and allow you to do it? But then when we are doing other things in our life freely that don't kill us, then we're told we must do it. You know, I mean, how can we make these disclosures? You know, the biggest kind of charade, since I'm 60 years old, so back when the tobacco industry, back around Vietnam War and such, when people had post-traumatic stress and coming back in the States and POWs and whatever, people were smoking a
right.
lot of fucking cigarettes, and they still are. We haven't. They put
Yes.
the disclosure on the packet about tobacco, and it hasn't taken their profitability away. It's actually made
Nope.
it even so
Might
much
have
more.
increased it, like putting the explicit lyrics or something on there. It might have increased the
Right.
Exactly.
fucking.
Or even like the ratings in a movie, you know, the PG-13 or 19 or fucking 1,000 years old. I don't give a shit. You know, you know, if you tell a kid that they're not going to be able to watch it or it's got like pornography, the first thing they're doing is they're getting in a room by themselves and they're turning on that shit. That's the first thing
Yep.
they're going to do.
That's my
Agreed,
So,
experience
man.
with Too Short, man. When I was a kid, my uncle listened to Too Short, and I didn't know who it was. I couldn't understand him, but
Bitch,
I took that
bitch,
tape. I
bitch.
took that tape and I put it in my little Walkman, and I put my headphones on, and I walked around, went to school
Right.
with the tape, and I listened to all those nasty, dirty lyrics of him being a pimp and all that.
Um,
And I learned a lot of Too Short songs when I was like 8 and 9 years old. I didn't even
dope,
know what sex
dope
was.
man. Dope man. I did the same thing with dope man, dope man. I used to walk around with headphones so my uncles couldn't hear it and shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, so you know, Joe, this is the first chance that we've gotten to talk to each other. So you know, sometimes it's a little bit difficult because you know to ask somebody to do anything nowadays is a real task,
Well,
and we don't even have to ask. You know, I send out a lot of messages, and I was saying to Chris that I'm an outbound type of guy. I'm a business developer. You know, I go after the rejection. I want the rejection. I want um that uncomfortable feeling
I
to become
understand.
comfortable.
I
And I don't
understand.
want to start with comfortable and then make it uncomfortable and end up in war and whatever. I want to go right after the root cause of the disagreements that we have. And like you're saying, you know, what makes you different than anybody else? And the fact is, I'm not different. That's what the difference is, and that I'm compassionately aware that we are all one. You know, your behavior, your character is inside of me. It's a projection of each of us, and even the words coming out of my mouth right now may be like deja vu or something that was like in I've had people tell me that the way that I talk right now is like a prophecy in some type of a prediction that this has already happened. And that's the reality. To manifest as the president of the United States, you need to believe that you're already the president of the United States.
To
And
manifest anything, you probably need to believe it first, right?
not probably. It's not a probable.
Right. You
It is
need to.
a guaranteed that the
Yes.
way manifestation works. And Walt Disney, for example, is a prime example with Imagineering and animation and
Yeah.
engineering and design and actually intelligence, like so that we can create the world that we want to live in
Let me
and
push you
not
some
do
more.
it.
No, 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 no. You're filibustering, Mr. Presidential Candidate. Let me push you a little bit more. Uh, you know, a lot of my friends are getting locked up. I got this friend Harry. You know, he's just trying to support his wife and kids. He's setting a little illegal smack down the street, man. Mr. President, will you be locking him up, or what's going to happen to my friend Harry?
Well, actually, it's a very interesting question when we start talking about our
What
prisons
we have to
and our
do to
judicial.
provide.
Yeah,
That's why I was trying to make
but
it difficult
also,
for him. He's just providing
yeah,
for his family. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I would just like to say, and I made a comment related to this, Joe, earlier, that as the president of the United States, I cannot and I will not overstep the boundaries of what it is to be the president of the United States.
Meaning what?
To
Is that a
inject.
non-answer, Mr.
No,
President?
no,
I
no,
won't
no.
do anything.
I'm getting to it. What I'm saying is that we need to look at and audit all of our systems of public service, including law enforcement and also the legislative issues related to marijuana and other plant medicines that are natural and for indigenous people and ceremonies. These are traditional rights. And so even certain churches, I'm from Rhode Island, and there's a church for marijuana. I forget the exact name of the church, but their whole platform is when you go there, you don't take the body of Christ like in a wafer. You
Yeah.
smoke a bone. You know, I mean, like
There's
right in
one in
church.
I think where was I? I don't know if I was in Ohio. I don't remember Colorado. I don't remember where I was at. But the church of whatever it is, I got pictures there. Me and my girl, we read about it, and we went in,
Yeah,
and they got like old video games. They got the consoles in there. They got a bunch of merchandise and stuff like that. They got the stuff for the prayer and all of that shit. Great art on
yeah.
the walls and shit, you know, merchandise you could buy some shit to smoke out of. Yeah, I've been there.
Oh yeah.
uh,
Yeah, well,
uh,
let me just get back to the one of the privileges, not one of the opportunities and actual ability to make an action when it comes to prison, and especially not especially only federal offenses, the pardoning process to be able to review some of the cases where people have been illegally imprisoned and actually lied. The government actually incarcerated these people mostly for political division. You know, these are really problematic people that are incarcerated. So, as the president of the United States, a little tidbit about our ex-president Donald Trump.
yeah.
For his first administration, his only administration so far, but he
He'll get a
pardoned the
second.
most number of people. It's an interesting thing because as much as Donald Trump says that he's really hardcore, he's pardoned more. I think it was about 4,000 people during his first administration, and now he's saying he's going to pardon even more people. And so my whole thing, as in my personal belief system, is that punishing people doesn't satisfy any type of alteration or transformation in somebody's behavior, and especially to incarcerate people, and then let them out, because I mean, your friend is not going to be in jail for life sentence. He's not like on his last leg. He's not going to the to the electric chair. Hopefully not. I don't know enough about the case, but what we do, what we've done is use our prisons as mental institutions. Many of the people that have these problems or challenges in their life, first of all, the root cause of almost any condition is money, and not having a job, and not having a purpose in the community. So if the guy's down the street trying to make a few bucks to try to pay the bills, what I would say as the president, and I'm not invoking this as like a power to make a change in administration, for example, with social welfare or our mental health services. These are departments in committees and task force. And you're talking about a government. I don't even know how many employees of the federal government. My guess would be probably 20 or 30 million people actually working.
Recently, and I forgot what the figure was, but it was ridiculous, like 3 million or something. I don't remember.
Probably, my guess is even more than that.
Maybe
but
it was 30. It was the 3. All right, maybe you're right. Maybe it was 30. Let me see, 300. Yeah. Maybe it was 30. I gotta re-Google this shit now. But let me ask you. Yeah, Google that shit, yo. How many, federal,
exactly.
How many government employees we got? All right. Remember your audience if you're trying to get my vote, right? Everything you said is good, man. But if you're filibustering, I'm the cat who don't want to vote for either party, so I'm probably gonna get mad at you if I think you're being too political. And just considering your audience, considering a large audience, what you're saying is fucking groundbreaking, right? Is like, holy fuck, did he say that shit? But you have to work a little harder here, right? And I'm pushing you on purpose, right? I'm interrupting you on purpose. I'm doing dumb shit on purpose to rattle you a little bit. Mr. Presidential candidate, what are we gonna do about these goddamn Venezuelan Mexicans? These fucking murderers keep coming over the fucking border, taking my jobs. What are you gonna do about it? I can't see it. Read it off, pimp.
Okay. In 2022, around 19.23 million people were working for state and local governments in the United States. This is much higher than the number of federal government civilian employees, which stood at about 2.87 million people in that year.
Holy fuck. Yeah. So almost 20, 19 points.
Almost 20 million, yeah. Wow.
Well, that just says that in now Joe is mentioning a very sensitive in a platform issue related to immigration and how we actually deal with foreign governments and protect our borders.
It is really telling how motherfuckers respond to this one. It is so telling. And my man,
yeah. I mean, I honestly believe they should come in legally. Get your fucking green card, your visa to get here. Don't sneak in.
Joe, you don't have the privilege that we have. No, Joe, we talked a little bit about my circumstance because I'm actually not in the United States of America on this call. I don't know if you realize I'm in Brazil. I'm an American. I'm an American living in Brazil. I live on an island called Evolution Island off the coast of São Paulo. I've come here.
Wait. I've always wanted to meet a motherfucker from Evolution Island to ask questions. Could have been you. I saw a motherfucker on panel, didn't get a chance to, or maybe Jesse was interviewing, didn't get a chance to ask one fucking question about the concept. So this is just getting better. This is just getting better to me, man. All right,
yeah, so but what I'm trying to say when it comes to immigration and the subject of Venezuela, I'm in Brazil. I don't want to say a freedom fighter or a democratic activist. Or democracy is for me is not even like a theological position or something. It's just a way of life. I mean, if you're democratic and you care about other people and you listen to them, what they have to say, you try to be as straightforward as you possibly can. When you cross that line and it becomes a belief or some type of an opinion, you need to come out and say that. But what I'm going to say is factual information about Venezuela. in the issue of our border in New Mexico and Texas, I know for a fact that in Panama that there's organizations with boats that go up the Panama Canal and then they go to the land, and then there are buses, air conditioned buses. We're not
Where
talking
there's
about
money
these.
to be made, those positions will
Exactly.
be filled. We could expect that.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes.
Well, that's the whole point. You say, what are you going to do to try to curb not try to, but really just instead of building a wall like some other people have proposed, we're going to build this wall. That shit, that doesn't
We'll just
stop
dig
the
under
money and
it, yo.
whatever. We'll fly them over in parachutes. I don't give a shit what you do at that point. So the whole point for me with a foreign policy and also immigration is to really help support a country or countries like in Latin America, in South America, even Cuba. I have experience in Havana. As an American, I was not supposed to legally go there. And even by saying that I went to Havana is actually probably my number one weakness in
Really,
my
my buddy
life.
is from Cuba. He over here now outside. He's from Cuba. He told me about how it is and how the society is. How I think it's communist, where they just assign your jobs, take your bread, and
It
they
is.
determine what to do with it and all that crazy shit.
Right.
Damn.
Well,
He's
that's the issue with Venezuela. Also, it's a communistic, authoritarian dictatorship.
okay. No,
These
that
are families that just take over. They have no term limits. So, like in Venezuela, for example, or even in Russia, we can talk about the real differences and get off sidetrack. But the
Well, let me
issue with
say
immigration,
while you're on. First of all, yes, I like that better than the other approaches. Right, the other ones sound political because they're not hitting at the root. The root is, and the truth is, most of these people are coming over here because we destabilized a lot of them. If you want to do the Mexican shit, we kicked out their leadership and the cartel took over. We instill our people. Our policies go against that go with their bureaucrats and shit, go against the people, and that shit. Our policies don't work in a lot of these countries, but they still make deals with us that the people don't particularly like. But yes, we'd have to build their country. We don't make attempts, in my opinion, to help build countries. We do go to war with a bunch of motherfuckers, but what are we doing to
Right.
stabilize? It's not in our
He mentioned
interest.
that earlier too. That all the missiles and bombs that they're doing over there in the hot zone, whatever. They're not cleaning it up. They're not helping the people. They were in there fighting, and then we'll leave then, and all the
Yeah,
people ain't getting help. It's like I ain't against the people at all. Nobody, no no species of human is on my shit list. It's the leaders of those countries
very
is
good.
who I'm going
Very
after.
good.
well,
That's enlightened.
well,
Yeah.
let me just chime in here and then I'm going to mention something. Once again, this is factual. This is not my opinion. This is intelligence. And I'm not being advised by. I run my own campaign. I'm an independent candidate. I'm a write-in candidate. I'm not going for the ballot. I'm not going through primaries. I'm not trying to go through the electoral college or anything. Basically, setting a precedent so that any American, because I was born in the United States. I'm 60 years old, and I've lived in the United States consecutively. Not even, but the law says 14 years you must be living in the United States at least. That's not in a row. I mean, I could pop in and out in whatever. So as a foreign interest, really, because I do hold a legal I don't want to say citizenship because I'm not a full fledged. My passport is a U.S. passport and what have you. And so I just want to try to be very informative and precise. It's called Operation Gladio. Have you either of you
I
ever
don't
heard
think
of
I heard
any?
of that. No.
I'm gonna look it
Operation
up.
Gladio was just exposed by a whistleblower, a woman, Colonel Townsend, Town Townsend, I think. I mean, you can look up, Chris, if you're on Google or
He's looking it
whatever.
up now.
Operation Gladio. That's Gladio. And this
Yeah.
she's a colonel from, I think, the U.S. Army, and
I think he's
she's
found
fought on many.
Pornhub over there. Go ahead. I think he's Googling
Yeah.
Pornhub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Operation
Anyway.
Gladio was a secret Cold War operation that involved armed resistance units or stay-behind armies in Europe. The operation was established in 1956 and was run by the Western Union, NATO, and the CIA in collaboration with European intelligence agencies. There's a lot more if you want me to keep going.
Yeah.
Holy
The
hell.
No.
operation-
Are they
Let me
saying
just say something. The Operation Gladio
civilians or soldiers? Who they leave behind with these guns? Civilians or soldiers?
well, actually, what we're talking about is how our policy, our foreign policy, has permeated and penetrated all of the issues with foreign governments, including the election cycle, including influencing certain parties and Al Qaeda directly. You know, our policy in the United States has been to fund both sides of any war and just supply them with the weapons and just basically broker, you know, and profit from all of those situations.
That's how
So
you get
when
money.
we start talking about foreign governments and communistic regimes and actual enemies, I'm saying this very seriously, enemies against the United States, and the enemy is against democracy. It's not, it's
What? Yeah, I'm about to say, what enemies do we have? What enemies against the United States? I'm calming down because I'm smoking the other thing now. But what enemies against against the United States?
Thank you
Yeah,
for, yeah.
well, actually,
I do try to run this podcast professionally, so yeah.
right
Thank
on,
you for
right on.
yeah.
respecting that. Sweet. Anyways, go ahead.
Hey, I want to make it perfectly clear to everyone here that plant medicine for me is the medicine of my choice. I am 60 years old. I have no pre-existing conditions. I do drink occasionally alcohol, but I've learned through hard knocks, I would say, and also not enjoying like hangovers and stuff. I've learned how to modify or moderate my behavior. Let's put it to you that way. I am not for any type of chemical alteration or manipulation of the natural order of what cannabis is all about. The benefits with a peace pipe, you know, having a peace pipe and being in a you know, in a what is it called? A sweat
Sweat lodge.
not a sweat lodge, exactly. And being around with friends, men and women, and sharing in that smoke and smoking. That to me is a sign, and it also very enjoyable. It relaxes me. It
Are
makes
you
me
gonna
very
take
creative.
my? Are you gonna take my guns, man?
Actually, your guns and anyone's guns, according to the Constitution, is a constitutional right, and I believe that you have the power to make those decisions.
Watch
But
your
I
mic,
do not.
Sapien. Watch your mic, Sapien.
What?
Oh, yeah, the other cat, his microphone. Watch your mic. Mute up.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, sorry.
Chris.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Anyways, when it comes to guns, my name is Ferdinand, David Ferdinand. My candidacy is we. So on the write-in ballot, all you write in is we, and that should be easy for people that know we the people
We the
and
people.
what have
Yeah,
you.
you
But
listen. You don't know me, like you said. I'm a cop watcher. I've been doing it for 5 years. So, and I go in and audit places too. I've been filming the government. So I'd be certainly be one of the we the people, freedom, rights guys. The police are too harsh, to have too much power. Constitutionalists, right?
yeah. Yeah, but you know, when it comes to like police and law enforcement and firefighters, emergency service responders, and all of these essential workers, it's very important. But when it comes to reforming our law enforcement, instead of enforcing laws, if we focus our attention more on the prevention of the criminal action, period, and also alleviate the pressure, which is money. I'm telling you right now, brother
Well,
Joe,
wait, wait, wait,
and
wait, 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 wait. Before you go on, prevention of the criminal action. What are some of these criminal actions? You mean like selling drugs?
well, no, I'm saying any action that puts you in a position where you think that you have to take an action is a criminal action, because
I'm
we
not
don't
sure
have
I
to do
understand. Is
anything.
that I'm not sure I understand what that means. Any
What,
position that makes you have to take an action is a criminal action.
Against
Like if I
somebody
run a
else, like
red light, all right, if I run a red light, now I have to go to court. Are you saying that makes me a criminal?
no.
well,
Uh,
under a misdemeanor or traffic violation in the traffic court, you pay a
yeah.
certain fee for doing that. But we are in a position right now. We all are. The fact is, if you don't have a job and you cannot make money, you are living on the street, and you're going to do whatever you need to do to try to survive, let alone protecting your kids. You probably have already,
No, no, no,
most of
no,
what
no, no, no. I know you want to segue to jobs and how to help motherfuckers get jobs right now. I'm more interested in what you're going to do to these criminals right now. How are we going to stop these criminal actions? I know by your previous answer that you are going to try and hit the root cause of these things. I'm more interested in the legislation you propose right now. Uh,
right
what what are we going to do about? I don't know. Are we gonna lock more of these fucking criminals up for longer times? Are
now.
we with these drug offenses and all of this shit?
No, you see, Joe, you once again, this is our first conversation, because I even mentioned to Chris, I'm not a career politician. Okay, I'm an inventor. I'm a quantum physicist, and I focus on perfect
Well,
health.
we gotta go there before you leave, man, because I'm a huge fan of quantum physics, man, and I would love you.
Yeah,
We can leave the police president shit now, because I would like some of your theories on the quantum physics shit, if you like.
yeah.
And
Well, I
I
mean, we can go back and forth. It's like tennis,
yeah,
you know.
okay,
I
all
am,
right.
I am flowing in a genuine sense, and I'm in the moment. So there's nothing that you could throw at me that's gonna pop the. I'm not like an ego that I can be popped. I'm living life. I'm an expression of our total intelligence. So if you want to talk about things like technology, I that's where I'm strong. That's my strength.
I'm not sure I was gonna go to technology. I'm thinking about I think quantum physics explains better some of the rules that God put forth and would give some good arguments of God. I was not thinking technology. I was thinking connections, quantum entanglement, what goes around come around, some of these unseen rules, right? I think quantum physics could explain some of that shit. How do you know your friend was gonna call? And you know it. Yeah, I just feel like my friend ring. I ain't heard from this nigga in 2 years. And he just called. Hey, how did I know he was gonna call? Before he called, what happened? What occurred there? I think quantum physics explains that.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. And I would kind of elevate your comment, Joe, from saying that you think that quantum physics can solve some of the problems. What I would say is quantum physics plus physics solves all of the problems and all
Yes.
of the challenges and all of the realities that we live in. And so when you start talking about predictive or intuitive suggestions that or channeling, like you're receiving, and somehow like a split moment before it happens, you have a thought of your grandmother, uh, and then for some reason you see your grandmother, it appears. We receive all sorts of messages from, call it
It would
God.
seem.
And
It
I'm
would seem.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not that
It
it
does
would
seem.
seem.
It is.
No, but
All right.
Joe,
Listen to what you
Joe,
said. You said we receive it a moment before it happens. If that is true, then what you're saying is that time it's probably not a thing. If we can pick up on it, it's probably not linear if we picked up on something before it occurred. Am
That's
I
right.
saying that clearly?
Yeah, well, actually, what I want to be totally clear is that we know that the window before manifestation is 20 seconds. So we have a
No, I've never
predictive
heard that.
model.
I've never heard that
I
before.
know you haven't, because this is really a lot of the things that are happening with our innovation and new inventions. I'm not talking about free anything. There is nothing free.
Yeah.
Energy, in order for us to actually even identify the energy, is one thing. Once we identify it, it is abundant, but now we have to transfer that energy
And
into
manipulating it.
into equipment and technology that we can
Right.
actually use that energy. That's
Right.
not free. Once we go from the non-physical, which is basically concept, and also like engineering and in design, like animation, 3D design, and all of that. When we
Yeah.
take the concept and then we actually put the skin on it and actually make prototypes, once we make that transition from non-physical to the physical, there are costs that are involved with that, and there's
All
industries
right.
that come
Here's
from
where you
that.
made me think. Here's where you made me think. You say once we make that transition from the non-physical to the physical. All right, take out the technology. In my opinion, that's probably what we did here. We were non-physical before we got here into these physical bodies. Now we make, if what you just said is true, we make the transition to a physical. There are costs involved, right? Yeah, you go ahead. You go ahead. I get, because I talk about that shit forever. But I don't
Yeah,
want to influence what you're thinking, so I want to hear what you think
right.
about that.
Yeah, I mean, Joe, for you and for Christopher and anyone listening to this recording, the fact is that I, as a candidate and as a professional, I talk mathematics. Okay,
Okay.
and I talk the what we have four phases in any material. There's the solid or the physical, then there's the liquid. If you melt down the solid, you get the water, or you get a liquid. Usually it's water. It's a water based. It could have minerals and other type of chemicals and stuff, but it's a liquid. It flows. And then the third phase is a gas. So if you heat up that water and it evaporates, or you're smoking a cigarette, for example, that's a prime example, or a cigar or whatever, or marijuana or whatever. You're taking a physical thing, you're lighting it, applying heat. Now it's becoming a liquid. It's going in your throat, into your lungs, into your bloodstream. So that's the third, is the second is the liquid, and then the smoke is what you see when you puff it out.
The
Your
gas.
smoke. It's the gas, and then the fourth phase is what I talk about, which is the plasma.
Right.
See, in quantum physics, the
Ether,
entanglement
yeah.
that you mentioned in the unity is the unity of the physical, the liquid, the solid into that final state, which is the culmination of the singularity of what you just did. You went in all four phases, and we are in the plasma, but then you can come from plasma and you can go back into gas, liquid, and solid. So basically, what we are is a holographic. We look like we're solid,
Here,
but
let
the
me let
reality.
me
Go ahead.
here. Let me lay this
Go
on
ahead.
you. They're probably even more closely related. Just take liquid and solid. I think what they we know they're the same. At least I think we know they're the same. If uh, let's say you lived, I don't know, 2 million years, right? You're old. You would see the rocks move as if they were liquid, and the mountains form and the rocks move. You would see all of this shit in motion. Our short lifespan looks like it's been there the whole time, but it has not been. All of this shit was
Right.
growing and moving and shit in flux. So it's not as simple and straightforward as we think it is.
Well, that's right. It's not like you had said. It's not a linear uh, linear system that we're talking about. In quantum physics, it's both up and down, left and right, inside and out, twisted, turned, spaghetti, macaroni, ravioli, lasagna,
Yes.
whatever the
Yes.
fuck you want to eat right now. You know what I'm saying? Quantum
All
is
right.
the entanglement and that is the definition of quantum. Let me ask you a question, Joe and Christopher, and anyone listening to this. Is a very simple question, the most simple, and it's this: Are we one?
Very
And
good.
before
Very
you
good.
answer, wait a second. Before you answer that, what I've learned how to do is I say, are we one? Yes or no? Yes is one, and any other word or hesitation
Yes.
is no.
Well, we'll see
Okay?
about that. Here is my one word answer, and it is not yes. My one word answer would have been absolutely. That was my one word answer.
Well, right.
Absolutely. We are. Literally, we
I
are
believe
one.
we're all versions of
Yes.
the one, but we don't live in a society where we consider each other as one
We don't
with
consider
each
it,
other.
but
We need to be
you
one with
are as much
ourselves
as
before
me
we can
as
be
my
one with each
leg,
other.
right? But
What's up?
you do agree that we do make up one living entity or whatever. You are literally, even though it looks like we're separate, you are literally like my finger or my leg or something. We are literally part of a one. You agree with that?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's where,
yeah.
like I
We're
just
all
said,
made
if
for the
we
same
take
stuff.
in quantum physics, they say that our physical material in the universe, if we took all of the physical matter in the universe, or multiverses or omniverse or whatever, we don't know how many verses there are, but
Yeah.
literally any physical material, and we condensed it down to the essence, we could fit that material on the edge of one human pin. One
This
human
is what
pin.
I tell people. This I read this in the Tao of Physics. If you take the Sistine Chapel, and then we're talking about this human cell, what's visible and in the human cell. If we take the Sistine Chapel and we threw in 1 grain of sand, that's the equivalent to what we think is real. All we can see, what we think is real. It's a grain of sand in the Sistine Chapel. The rest we have yet to learn to manipulate. All the things that you could do with this, you could probably float and go and transcend time and space if you knew how to
Yep.
manipulate the unseen.
Well, don't
That's what
let's
I'm going to
not
be
use
getting
the
into
word.
with my podcast too. So just so y'all know.
I'm down.
Right. Well, let's not use the word manipulate, because that is a twist of the realities of what plasma is. You cannot manipulate evolution,
I
and
dare you.
you cannot become stupid. You can act stupid, but you cannot become stupid. There is no stupid. Our
Unless you're
common
willfully
sense.
ignorant.
Well, I mean, but you can't even. No matter how you cut it, in quantum is the totality, and
Yeah,
it's the
the entirety.
small,
Yeah,
and it's in like Joe just said, it's that 1 grain of sand inside of a complex system that is the entranceway. Let me ask you another question. What is the definition of zero dimension mathematically in one word?
Zero dimension.
Mathematically, in one word,
I've
what is
never heard
zero
that phrase,
dimension?
zero dimension, so I couldn't tell you in 50 words. I've never heard that phrase.
Well, you know what we are in right now? What dimension are we in right now?
Third dimension, 3D.
Actually, that is a
third density.
fallacy.
Okay, I'm
No,
listening.
but that's a fallacy, because we are biometric shapes. The third dimension is length, width, and height. It's a block in your case, but in the
Well,
Earth,
there's
it's a sphere. It's a sphere. It's a
no, no,
circle.
no, 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 no.
Or a
Three
donut.
dimension could take on any shape and still be 3 dimensional. A
No,
dinosaur is
that's
still
not
three
true.
dimensional.
That's not true. Biogeometrically, the only shape that you can take in the third dimension is a sphere or a box or rectangle. It has to have length, width, and height in some density. It has to be able
Yes,
to hold air. So
a
what I'm saying
dinosaur
to you,
has these things. You're saying it must be
No, but
symmetrical. That's not logical.
no. A dinosaur is not three-dimensional. The
Why?
dinosaur, because once you make a motion, once you take the 3D object like yourself, even you moving your head and your lips is the holographic. And when you project yourself, you're in the fourth dimension. So the answer is anytime that we even ask, like, what dimension are we in? We're already in the fourth dimension. The third
It's
dimension is
still. What are you saying? Logically, you're not getting through to me here. Are you saying
okay,
if I remain still, I'm three-dimensional? Then when I
that's
talk and
correct.
move, I am now in the fourth dimension.
That's correct. That is
All right.
correct. That is when time and
That's time.
space,
Yep.
when you start bending, you start moving your lips, you're bending space. You can't see it. We live in an ocean of darkness. It looks like we're in light, but our actual existence is 99% dark energy and dark matter, which is the definition of plasma. Plasma is dark. That doesn't mean that there's no light. In the the center or the zero dimension is the 0 point in everything, every person, place, and
Why
thing.
are you nodding
So if
your
you,
head? This is not logical. You still
what do you
have, in
mean
my
it's not?
opinion, you still haven't proven if I'm here remaining still. It only appears that I'm still. All the same things are occurring. Me moving cannot change a
That's
thing.
correct.
Yeah,
That's correct, because what we are is we're living multidimensional. We're actually living
of
all of the
course we are.
dimensions at
Yeah.
one
We're
Of
time.
extra
course we
But
dimensional
are. I
beings.
thought you were referring to this one here in particular. Of course they all exist at the same time and probably in the same place concurrently and all of
right.
those things.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you another simple question. What time is it right now?
That's what's simple about that question, motherfucker. Where are you right now? What is simple about that question?
No,
That is not.
because the definition of the moment of now is 0 hours, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds. So the answer is very simple. Whenever anyone says what time is it right now, you do not go to your watch. You do not go to the internet and say, I'm in London. What time is it in LA or in Chicago or Philadelphia, wherever you are?
It's
The
now
moment
time.
of now,
It's right now.
the,
Listen, I
that's
don't
right. And
think.
what time is it right now? It's 0 hours, 0 seconds, and 0 minutes. But
Okay,
in the
only if
third
that
dimension,
means it's not even a real thing. Something we could not pin
that's not,
down. And the reason I
no,
say that is here's let me tell you why I say that, because where you are. If I ask where you are, you know you're a fan of quantum physics. When I try to pin down exactly where you are, it's impossible, right?
that's
When
correct.
I try to pin it, so it's probably the same thing with now. If you try to
No,
pin down when now in, it's probably impossible.
no, that's not true because you haven't let me finish. Okay, let me
Okay.
just rapidly do this. And it's very simple to follow. If we are in the fourth dimension and then we come to the third dimension, we are still. That's all the third dimension is not animated, and the soul is not being expressed because basically now we're an object. We're
Still
not a
not
human.
logical. I can go
No,
for
it's
the
absolutely
soul is.
logical.
Wait. Let's see. You just said the soul is not being expressed. Maybe it's slowed down by this physicality, but surely your soul is being expressed right now.
But that we're in the fourth dimension with that expression. See, what I'm trying to do is get you to come to the zero dimension. And what I'm
But it
saying to you is if you're in the fourth dimension, you become still, you come into this third dimension. And then from the third dimension, you need to take out that one dimension, come to the second dimension. What is the definition of the second dimension?
if you can
Math,
imagine.
no, what you do is you take like a circle of the sphere of the Earth, and if you suck all of the density out of it, you have a flat plane, which is a circle. It's
But not
not a sphere.
necessarily, not
That is
necessarily.
that is right there. What that you just showed is a
Wait.
two-dimensional object.
Yes,
What
but
Christian
assume
showed.
yes, but he is
But if
saying
I
it's
see
flat
that, if I
like a
yeah
piece of
see,
paper. You're saying it
Yeah.
well,
has to
it's
be
a
Piece of
flat.
paper.
round.
Right,
Uh
right. The flat. It's a flat face. It's only one plane.
but
That's the
yes, I
second dimension.
right, but it doesn't have to be round, right? It could be a different shape, yeah.
Well, it can be a triangle because a pyramid has actually a shape in the third dimension is a pyramid. But if you take the pyramid and you have one side, it's a triangle. So
Yeah.
these are it's called biogeometry. It's the field of biogeometry is what I'm saying to you. And it's very simple. We go from the the fourth dimension to the third dimension to the second dimension. Now, what is the first dimension?
No, you tell me because I don't think
The
we agree
first
on any
dimension is
so
just a
far.
molecule.
Actually, the first dimension is if you take the circle and you cut it and you spread it out and you stretch it out, what do you get? You get a straight line. What is the
Yeah.
definition of a straight line? Is 2 points. The shortest distance from 2 points is a straight line. So
Right.
if we're in the fourth dimension, we go to the third dimension, we go to the second dimension. Now we're in the first dimension is a straight line. The next question is, what is the zero dimension?
I don't know. That's the
It's
phrase that
it's
you guys
it's
have come up with. How the fuck
it's
am I going to tell you what the definition of a
it's the
word that you come up with?
No,
What?
it's logical. If you
we
take a
gotta keep
line,
an open mind. Keep an open mind.
I
Keep in
do
mind.
have an
right,
open
Open
right.
mind.
mind.
I think, but
No, I know, I
listen,
know, I know.
if I call a
No, but
thing, if
just
I
listen.
listen, if I have a word for a thing and I call a lighter, I call it blue block. And I ask you
I
what
just
is the
said this the other
definition
day. That's
of
crazy.
blue block? I know it by a different name. Perhaps I know what you're talking
Fire
about by
starter.
a different name. You're calling it a so and so. It's logical. This is what it is. No, explain to me what the qualities of it is. Then I'll be able to tell you if I know what it is.
Well,
Without the
actually,
label, he's
that's
trying to say without the label. What?
Yes,
How do we explain
that's
it without the
exactly what
label?
I'm trying to say. Yes.
right. Well, what I'm saying to you is if you go to the and you can type this in, Christopher, biogeometry.com,
Okay. I'm reset.
biogeometry.com.
I had an update on my
Okay.
phone, so I'm just resetting it.
Anyways, Dr. Kareem from the University of Cairo, Egypt, right next to the Great Pyramid of Giza, actually has not invented but discovered the power of our geometry. It says that we as human beings in the fourth dimension are objects of geometry. So if you go from the fourth to the third to the second to the first, and we said the first is a straight line with 2 points. The zero dimension would be if you take the straight line and you turn it sideways and look only in the front of it is 1 point.
It's
It's a
logical. It's
single.
not. It's logical. It all
It's the
follows,
beginning of everything.
and it's
The
and
1
it's
point is the origin.
okay.
That's what I'm talking about. And that's what's important with Joe in the conversation that we're having with quantum physics. Quantum physics says that we are all together. We are together at that single point. It's called, in Joe used the word absolute. It's called point, the word point, and then zero, zero for zero longitude, zero latitude, which gets you into the center of zero. And then absolute is the word. The absolute is what makes the yes is unequivocal. It's yes. It's absolutely yes. And that is the best answer. Are we one? Absolutely. That is the absolute answer. But in our world, to get somebody just to say yes or no is really what we want because we're dealing with controversial issues that involve complexities of religious and belief and indoctrination and programming and
This
trauma
that
and all
border
sorts of
shit.
history.
That's why I
What?
picked on that. That's why I picked the border shit. Every time you
That's
talk about America, USA, careful because you're doing us versus them. And next thing you
that's right.
know, you want they can be killed once you put a label on them and they're different from you. You can do all sorts of sick shit to them people. I got a
Yeah.
buddy who believes that and I'll try to keep this, for TOS shit. The war
All right.
going over there right now. He thinks that one side is being really he can't wait for him to go. He thinks that Jesus will come faster when they build that temple. And if these guys got to be eradicated, they're slime anyway. Nobody likes them. I mean, how do you get there without all this indoctrination and propaganda
Yeah.
bullshit?
Yeah.
Are you talking about the Palestinian and Israeli war?
I am. Yes, he
I
thinks they
believe
should be
it's the
eradicated.
two brothers that are perpetuating the fight since the beginning.
That's
Right.
logical.
Two
Yeah.
families.
Well, once again, that's a belief. And what we're saying in quantum physics is that what we need to do is disintegrate from the fourth dimension and all arrive at the zero dimension. We need to come to the same book, to the same page, to the same word in the same sentence. We
How do
need to
we
get to the
accomplish that?
same.
How do
What do
we
you
get
mean?
more?
We accomplish it through meditation and basically wisdom.
I'm an open-minded guy. That dude, wherever he is, he's an open-minded guy. But the average person, I don't have time for woo-woo meditation. I got bills to pay. Right? We're not going to
Here.
reach 98% of the people.
There you go.
Yes, right,
Now you can
right.
point to him or
That
point to me. There you go.
dude. Right. He's open-minded. But the rest of your audience will be more difficult. You know, I meditate anyway. I love it.
We were just talking, Christopher's looking for a job, and he was talking about the complexity of his trying to find like meaningful, gainful work so
Good
that he
luck
can
in
survive.
today's day and age, right? Nothing pays, and it's intentionally that way. Uh, Nothing is going to pay you enough because it needs to keep you in a state of
Right.
perpetual debt in order to pay off the banking system, the car. In order for all of them to get paid, they're not interested
Right.
in your ass being able to have one job, buy a house, and buy a car. That doesn't help them none. Shit. They want you with two
Yeah.
jobs, got the kids working, the wife out getting money. They need you doing it
Well,
all.
it just so happens that the Verizon job I have available, it's selling cellular products and cell phones and stuff like that. I can make up to 200 grand a year if I bust my ass hard enough. But the minimum's 44,000 a year, which is more than I've ever made. But the most is 6 digits, and that's a lot. Like if I
I
bust
imagine
my
that's a
ass,
lot of hustling, and that would be dependent
yeah,
upon you making connections. And the truth is, you're gonna have to connect with people with bread, right? When
yeah,
you're selling a
yeah.
bunch of iPhones, talking to me and my buddies help you none. We all live in a desert. I got 30 chickens outside on 2 acres and
Where do
shit
you
like that.
live?
Well, I live in Chicago, but I live here about now about 6, 7, 8 months a year or something because my girlfriend moved here. So
Are
I
you in
usually
Arizona?
I'm in Colorado. I'm sorry if I didn't say
Oh, okay.
Colorado. Yeah, and it's so fucking gorgeous. It's the most beautiful place in the world.
It's nice
Uh,
up there.
yes. Shit, I done forgot the point thinking about the sunrises and shit over here. I be filming them, but they're on
It's
this
96
phone.
degrees here still.
Oh, it's
Wow.
cold here. You see, I'm wearing a hoodie, bro. I'm in the desert though. I'm near New Mexico. It's sand outside. I'm in the
Oh,
desert,
you're on the New
cactuses.
Mexico side of Colorado.
Yeah.
I'm in the southwest corner of Arizona, right next to Mexico. In
Ah,
the
okay.
desert, hardcore desert.
I've
There ain't
been
nothing
there.
here but rocks and sand.
I've been there. I've been there.
And a
Yes.
bunch of tree stumps everywhere.
Yes, but where you are at night, where I was out there, it still stayed triple digits. Right here, it gets
Yeah.
like 40, 50 degree swings in the temperature, 100 degrees during the day and 60 at night, and shit like that is not unusual. But there, I was up with a friend. It was triple digits during the day, and I went outside to smoke a cigar. I was waiting for the cool breeze to smoke a cigar. I go out there at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, it's still 103 degrees. Like, how the
Yeah.
fuck is this possible, bro?
It's yeah. It's okay. It's the cloud seeding, geoengineering, and
I like it.
the the spraying they're doing in the atmosphere. I won't say
You write the
what it
name.
is, but I will say look it up in the patents department, and you will find that it is chemicals that they are spraying.
Yes, me and my girl,
Uh,
radium and some we got pretty much what they're putting in that spray, man.
yep. Heavy
Oh
metals.
man,
It's
Yeah.
barium, aluminum, lithium, and strontium.
see,
4 of them that I know of.
ooh,
I seen a military patch that says barium and aluminum on it. Barium at the
yes,
top and aluminum at the bottom.
yeah,
Barium and aluminum.
yes,
Wow. So the effects of that stuff. So aluminum causes Alzheimer's or forgetfulness, right?
yes,
Lithium, they make meth chemicals. It's equivalent to methamphetamines, but it's a lot stronger and more potent. It's made of battery acid, lithium cells. All right.
yeah,
You've heard of lithium dope. That's what lithium is, and it causes irritation and cognitive dysfunction.
Yes.
So
Fluoride.
we got a bunch of people not sleeping, being irritated. So that keeps your energy in a lower vibration, right?
Dumbed down.
They're keeping us in the lower 3 energy
You.
centers.
Let me interrupt
Yep.
you. Yes, I'm not. I'm really. I want you to remember where you're at, because I'm just saying. Yes, I think you're onto something, man. They want to alter your energy. Surely that is the entire plan, to keep you dancing off the vibration that you should be on. That is what this all must be about. The shit we watch on TV, the movies, the shit they have put, everything they put in front of us is to keep you on a lower vibration, I think.
Yeah.
And in your water and your food.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
let's get back to the. Let's get back just for a second to the idea of these the multi dimensions, from the 4th dimension to the 0 dimension, because there's nobody, like I said, in the 3rd dimension. It's not an animation. It's not an action. There is nothing there. And so if we all come together, the unity that we're talking about is in the 0 dimension. That's where we all came from.
I would agree with that.
That's where we all came from, and that's where we're all going to. That's just the way it is. There's not an opinion. You don't have to like it or not like it. This is the reality of the world that we live in.
You could, all things would be built from that one point that you're starting about. You need that one point to draw the straight line, to draw the circle, to make the tower, to do the other dimensions anyway. That's not a hard sell. But
think of it as a seed.
That 3 and 4th dimension, one of them being moving and one not. I'm going to be a tough sell on that, because when motherfuckers tell me liquid is different from rock, I believe the rock is moving. So I believe that they're all moving.
No, it is moving very, very, very slowly.
No, but wait a second. If we can go from 4 to 0, we also can go from 0 to infinity. So now let's just go to the 5th. Whatever. Let's just go to the 5th. Because now we say we're in the 4th. So now people say to me, what is the 5th? And the 5th dimension is no time and space, and that's the unity of perfection, where everything, like you say, the rock is conscious and has that, even though it's not a solid, it's the plasma. In the 5th dimension, it's all of the above. It's physical, liquid, gas, and plasma. But the plasma state, is 99%, and liquid, solid, liquid, and gas is 1%. All 3 of those other phases are only 1%, and 99% is the plasma. And so, go ahead.
Yes, and there is something. The slower you go, there is something to standing still, because when you slow these things down, they almost become what we call a solid, right? And when you speed them up, they become liquid, then gas, and plasmatic.
And light.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, when we go in the multi-dimensions into the whatever, the 12th, whatever, some people say there's 130 dimensions that we know about. It could be whatever the number is, really doesn't matter, because it's only a refinement of the light. It gets more and more purer at that point in energy. But you don't have the consciousness. In the 5th dimension, you don't have. In the 5th dimension, you do have consciousness, because you can come from the 5th and come back into the 4th dimension. So you can move back and forth.
There's a good argument in string theory, in A string theory. There are a bunch of them, because it was trying to do the unified grand field theory thing, where it rationalizes conventional physics with quantum physics, and all that's why they're still theories, right? And there are a couple that they have gravity sharing between 9 and 10 dimensions. And the reason I think those ones are good is because it just so happens that would account for the weak force of gravity. If it was sharing, it has to share between 9 and 10 dimensions. Gravity permeates all of them. And that's why it's the weakest of the forces as we know it, or one of the weaker forces.
Right. Well, we all know about practical application.
Yeah. Actually, it's a little bit different than what you just interpreted it. Actually, what's happening is on one side in the dimensions that we're in, when you go from the fourth dimension to the zero dimension, on the other side of zero is not negative. On the other side of zero is that anti-gravity or the levitation. So at that point, there's only one dimension. It's a vacuum chamber. It's called vacuum discrepancy. And this is what we know now in our total intelligence, because what we do is when you rise higher, like when it's where we are instructed to vibrate high and go to the light. That is not where the anti-gravity in levitation is. Actually, you need to go in the darkness, and then in the center of the darkness at 0.00 absolute is that one single point of light that we are talking about. It's a white hole, or some people say wormhole. And so on the other side, when you meditate, and it's not meditation like you're saying, it's not complicated. In a moment, you can go from the fourth dimension to the zero dimension, because we actually cascade down, because the force of gravity is taking us from 4, 3, 2, 1, just like liftoff with a rocket. And that's very interesting, because in Cape Canaveral, whatever, any rocket launched does the countdown: 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, liftoff, which is incorrect. They don't even mention zero. And so this is how complicated, not complicated, but how precise we are now. I'm proposing with NASA to include zero in the countdown, because by not even recognizing that there is a zero, that opens up the door for problems and errors, quite honestly. We need to understand that on the other side of zero is not negative zero. It's a whole different world. In our society, we have not come to zero. If we collectively come to that zero field, then we can very easily tap into the power of anti-levitation and other
type of phenomenon. In a language where other people could understand. If we collectively come to that zero field, you can't say that to another human being and they get it unless they've been under your tutelage for a while. You probably could put in verbiage that they know. Are you saying meditation can get you a point where you can do so and so? Can you express it in a different language?
Well, yeah, basically what I'm saying is, if we reboot, and just like a computer, if we switch off, or even this phone, at nighttime you shut it off and then you reboot in the morning. What we need to do is,
humans don't know how to shut and reboot. Can you tell them exactly how to do that?
Well, that's where we need to come to zero conditions in our life and zero fear. And the only person that can tell. Yeah, the only person that can tell you that is yourself. If you know that you have a condition and that you have some fear and some limitation, you know that better than I do. And so, but
you mind if I invite a buddy over? He probably won't come, but his mantra, he got it in the back of on his channel. No fear.
The link's in the chat if he wants to jump on the channel and put the link in.
He probably won't come. I've invited him to other places. I think you've only ever come once. Yeah.
I have a back.
Oh, you're talking about Jack.
Jack, yes. Jack, yes.
I know you're talking about Jack. I know Jack. I know you. Yes. I've been on another show with you, actually.
And Jack kicks me all the time. He doesn't like my woo-woo nonsense. You can't read that,
right?
Yeah.
We're on the top one. I have this one in 10 minutes. If we quit this one and start this one right now, we can be on the same subject and we don't have to go anywhere.
Now that I think
jump into a different link I share.
I want to charge up. Can you put that link in the chat? Let me charge up for 10 or 20 minutes. I'll text Jack. I want to get something to drink.
I can actually.
Hey, Christopher. Yeah. I and Joe, I have to apologize. I am on the island here. I don't have battery on my phone, and it just notified me that I think I only have two minutes left. So I don't want to just jump off of this and without having some closure. This has been a very interesting, thought-provoking.
Put that other link. put that link in the regular chat so when I finish what I'm
Yeah, I
doing and
am.
charge up, I can come back. Please go ahead. You
Yeah,
ain't got to cover
yeah.
that.
Because
I'm in Brazil, so I'm 4 hours ahead of you guys. It's already going on 1 o'clock in the morning here, and my wife has been very patient, and I'm,
I know
I'm
the
on an
feeling.
island, so there's no noise here. So you can imagine being like in Manhattan, being the only one in Times Square yelling your fucking
Your
head off.
neighbors are like, where he shut the fuck up? Yeah.
We don't have any neighbors. I don't have any
Same
neighbors.
here, same here. Chickens,
no, but the dog,
The
coyotes.
dog and the cat and all of the nature here is not used to this like noise pollution of some
I
crazy
get
guy
it.
that's running
I
for the
wish in
president of the
daytime
United States and
I
all
take you
sorts of shit.
outside. You just see endless stretches of fucking open field and shit. If I took you outside, bro. Yeah,
Oh, I know. I know where you
yeah,
are. I
yeah.
love Colorado.
I wake up, I can look at Pikes Peak and all of that shit from the bed,
oh my,
right?
yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, I know. I know.
Uh,
America, I live in Brazil, not I mean, I'm here freely. I have free will to be here, but I'm not like some communist guy hiding away on some
you're right.
evolution island trying to be some
Fuck, I
secret,
didn't ask you shit
you know.
about Evolution Island. Fuck, bro, we blew it. Fuck, fuck, I blew it again,
All right,
bro.
I gotta invite myself into the chat. Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, Chris, I want to thank you again.
We're supposed to do another segment.
Another episode. Anyways,
Yeah.
I can hear some background there.
I think your phone's dying. I hear
I'm gonna
echo.
mute my microphone.
Yeah.
Oh, that did it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, I want to say thank you. I need to cut off, not because I don't want to continue, but because of technology, and the battery here is dying, and we need to. It's 3 hours on this episode, so we want people to listen to it, but at the same time, 3 hours is really kind of hard for people to. They can fast forward or whatever, or advance the
Yeah.
speed. If you really want to hear me talking like, blah, 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 I mean, whatever.
I
But
get
we
it.
have, we are at a point right now. This is the year 2024. We are going to evolve, and I'm not alone. Obviously, we're all together. We are one. So, we have the numbers 99-1. All we have to do is transform one. We don't have to transform 99. And
I like it.
serious. And so it's very easy. And I want to thank everyone listening. Talk with Christopher. Joe, if you want, get Christopher to give you my WhatsApp number, and I'll be happy to talk with you and your friend and anybody that wants to
Meet me
wants to
back
talk.
over here, man. Meet me back over here, man.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
will. All right. All
All
right,
right, I'm gonna
Chris.
get out of here too, Chris, man. I'll meet you at that other stream during a little while.
All right. Hey,
Later.
peace be with you. Ciao.